The summer solstice has come and gone, and with its passing, the annual push by sports car racing's best teams and drivers for glory at the legendary 24 Hours of Le Mans. For 3 teams from the American Le Mans Series, time to bask in the glow of Le Mans glory is short-lived. Now the hard work begins as the championship chase boils in the heat of the summer. For the series regulars, the joy and the torment of Le Mans is blunted by the labor of challenging familiar foes, with the hope that a championship is still within reach. For a trio of Audi drivers, Emanuele Pirro, Tom Christensen, and Frank Biela, an unprecedented 3rd straight victory at Le Mans was a career zenith. But Le Mans glory has left defending series champ Pirro looking up from the cellar of the series top 10.
So we have a lot to do. I'm a very happy boy and very satisfied with my results, but the past is the past and the future is what counts. So we're really very committed, very concentrated, and we try to make it, although it's difficult.
In the Big Bore GTS class, a 2nd straight Le Mans win means that Team Corvette must fight to repeat as series champions against growing competition from an old and formidable enemy, Ferrari.
You know, Johnny and I have got our work cut out, trying to sort of maintain this points lead. And, you know, Corvette remains undefeated this year. We're going to try and keep it that way.
The big question in the hard-fought GT category, can Kevin Buckler's Racers Group team back up their double 24-hour wins at Daytona and Le Mans and claim the series title?
The team is really full of confidence. I am too, and we're going to really try to take it to the GT points leaders and try to win this championship if we can this year.
So Le Mans is over for another year. The chase for the American Le Mans Series Championship begins in earnest today at one of America's most challenging historic venues, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And welcome to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio. Coverage of the American Le Mans Series here on Speed. Today, the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin, joined by Bill Adam. Great to be with you for really the start of the summer season for the American Le Mans Series. The cars are out on the track. Their pace laps beginning, and Bill, a couple of days until the 4th of July. We may see some fireworks in the 900 prototypes today.
I think we're going to see a lot of fireworks because even though Le Mans itself was a huge battle, they have to get back to the war now. The logistical nightmare of trying to do so many races that are coming up in the very near future, back-to-back almost, is a huge challenge, both men and machinery.
We've got 4 races starting today, and the next 36 days gives you an idea of what that challenge is like. Now, if you look back at what we've seen so far this year, the Audis and the Panoses have dominated. The Audis have been great in the long-distance races, but the Panos won the first sprint of the year at Sears Point.
Yeah, and I think the Panos last year showed they can work really well at this track. There really aren't the bumps of Sebring, which is the downfall of the Panos. They upset Audi last year. I think they can do it again today.
One of the Audis is on the pole. The 2 Panos cars are next in line. Joining us from pit road today, Calvin Fish. Cal, I think the Panos cars ought to have a great shot today.
Absolutely, Rick. Very significant. The number 50 car, the defending champions here, David Brab and Jan Magnussen on the outside. Track configuration may allow Brabs to have a run at Biela here in the first couple of turns. Jan, you're standing by waiting to get in the car. How important is the start today for you guys to get out front and pace this thing a little bit?
I think to be able to control a little bit, we have to be ahead of the Audi. It's not all important that we are, but you know, it'd be easier to control the race a little bit. We have to work the strategy and be lucky with our pit stops here. Not like we have to be good to have a chance. Last year we didn't really have the speed. We were good in the pits. This year we're better than last year.
Kevin Buck was on their side last year. No surprise to see an Audi on the pole, but very surprising, Andrew Merritt, to see one of the cars back on the 3rd row.
Absolutely, the number 2 car. Problems with the transmission. Dindo Capello at the wheel in qualifying. Here's the wheel for the start. Tom Christensen, now 4 times winner of Le Mans, is with me. Tom, is this going to be hard work for you getting up to the front?
Yeah, certainly. It's very warm. It's very, very warm, and we had the problem in qualifying yesterday. It's certainly fixed this morning. Both Dindo and we were very, very quick in the warm-up, so we probably have the best race car. So we're looking very much forward. But the circuit to overtake, it's narrow, it's demanding. So if we don't do it on the circuit, we will do it hopefully with a good strategy. So
thanks very much, Tom. Well, that's Mid-Ohio. Yes, it's demanding. Back to you, Bill.
One of the great courses, of course, in the nation here at Mid-Ohio, in the center of the United States, as the cars are on their way. Let's get a look at this racetrack. Bill took us around earlier.
This course demands technical perfection, but it has two excellent passing areas. The first is up by the keyhole. You brake, you come over the crest of the hill right there. The car wants to slide out, but you have to be patient, feed power in, and then carry as much speed out onto the straight as possible. At the end of the straight, the best passing spot of all right here, you can even go side by side with your competition on the outside, because suddenly you'd be on the inside up over the top of this long left-hander. Now the rest of the track, there isn't even a time for a deep breath. It keeps you working.
And 4 classes of American Le Mans Series cars will be working hard here for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Bill Adam, the 900 prototypes.
The most beautiful sports cars in the world. They cannot weigh less than 900 kilos and either a 6-liter fuel-injected motor or 4-liter turbo, way over 200 miles an hour. Their little brethren, the 675s, they weigh less, 675 kilos, and slightly smaller motors. But in the right situations, they're virtually as quick. The GTS cars, well, the Corvettes, the 8-liter Vipers, these are the big ones, or a 4-liter turbo car. And the final class in the field today is the GT. These can weigh no less than 1,100 kilos and nothing bigger than a 3-liter capacity.
30 cars will take the green, the starting lineup in your speed strip at the top of the screen. Let's take a look at some of the storylines that we'll be following here today in the prototypes, Audi versus Patos.
Yes, I think, and maybe we heard a little bit from Jan Magnussen when he talked about the Patos. Why not try starting one of the Patos on light fuel? Make a little bit of a gamble and hope for yellow. I think that's a good one.
John Field and his son Clint in the 675 car of Lola. They could be very strong here today, too. As we take a look at other storylines, we'll do that a little later on. Pole sitter, of course, overall in the 900s. It's the Audi, the #1 car, Biela and Pirro off that 3rd consecutive Le Mans win 2 weeks ago, 109.5 miles an hour, put car #1 on the pole. In the 675s, we talked about John and Clint Field. They're nearby Dublin, Ohio natives. That's the Banana Joe's Lola at 106.1 miles an hour. GTS, pole sitter there. Of course, the Corvette, the 3-car. Ron Fellows and Johnny O'Connell, as Ronnie told us, undefeated so far this year. And a great battle for the pole in GT. GT pretty much the bailiwick of the Porsches at this point, but it was a good inter-squad battle. One of the Alex Job cars, Sasha Massa and Lucas Luhr on the pole at 94.6 miles an hour. Getting close to our start, let's take a look at some of our onboard views we'll have here today. First of all, Kevin Buckler in the car number 66, the Racers Group Porsche, starting 6th in GT, the 2 24-hour wins.
That's a remarkable record. I mean, to do that almost back-to-back. This, by the way, is on board the 37, the ALMS 675 car of the field. That will give us a great view.
We'll have a helmet cam with John Field as well. Ron Fellows has the #3 Corvette on the pole in GTS, a little closer to the front of the grid. And up front, Frank Biela. Winner in car #1. He'll take us to the green down the back straightaway. Getting ready to go racing here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We're glad you're with us on Speed. Set to go for 2 hours and 45 minutes. The Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. What a beautiful field.
Oh, it's gorgeous. And the reason they start in the back straight is, once again, safety. It gives them a great run. There's the green. Now it's going to funnel down here into a fairly hard right-hand corner. Look at the Patos going to try him up the inside.
Making a for the lead. The field is able to stay out in front. Magnussen's car in 2nd spot. The champion car, the white Audi, is 3rd. Johnny Herbert there.
Boy, Herbert with a great start. I think wisely, Capello has decided this to take it easy.
Herbert starting the other Panthers, the 51 car. He settles down in 4th spot. John Field has moved to 5th meantime. Round number 2.
Yeah, I would be surprised not to try and get too brave too early, because we have seen him make a number of mistakes, which it's very uncharacteristic of the Audi team. They seem to run such great precision. Capello hasn't followed through on a lot of those.
Carousel now straight away here at Mid-Ohio. Now the finish line is right here. You'll see the finish area that used to be used to go to the initial. Now the start of the race is on the back straight. Coming up toward the keyhole.
Again, this is one of the very heavy braking areas. A good spot for passing, other than right there when the car's pressed up over the rise. It's just like in your street car, when you over a rise and things get light, you can block the brakes so easily.
Running 1 and 2. Johnny Herbert is 3rd in the 38 car. Herta in the 51 is 4th. John Field in the first of the 675 prototypes is 5th. Brabham in this car. We talked to him this morning. He wanted to come into the front.
Yeah, he did. You're going to see a little further back in the field here. You see it's a good spreads out down the street. There are those 2 yellow Corvettes. But look what a battle this is. That is a Celine.
and then the Ferrari.
And Terry Borcheller in the Celine, and that is the Olive Garden Ferrari. Boy, they have become one of our favorites. It's got to be the best sounding car on this track.
The four GTS contenders right behind John Maxwell, one of the prototype 900s now. It's the Mugen-powered Panos. Let's jump on board here with Fellows under the Honda Bridge.
And this is kind of an interesting comparison. Up ahead, the Panos that is, as you point out, Mugen-powered. The Corvette's a 7-liter. Watch how they compare. Even though the car directly ahead is a much smaller motor, the 7-liter Corvette kind of offsets some of that lightweight advantage that the LMP car has. Just massive amount of torque in this car.
Mississauga, Ontario, Canada.
And Ron Fellows, has he compiled a racing record over the last few years? What a great driver he is.
Came home part of the winning team for the second straight year at GTS. Terry Borcheller, interesting story. Celine, the Franz Conrad car there at third. He just got to the track this morning. He just got his first stint in the car in the morning warm-up.
Yeah, he did. He almost pulled a Johnny Herbert, call it, where he's off racing someplace else and tries to come to this circuit. It is so tough to do. I mean, you're physically tired. You're just drained. So I wonder how Terry is going to go today as the race goes on. The heat conditions will come into play. The GTS cars, probably the hottest of all because they are carrying the largest motors. A lot of the heat's radiated back into the driving department. But right now, Borcheller looks like he's charging.
Scott Maxwell in the ninth spot there in the 17. Let's see if we can go back and take a look at the GT cars. And that is the Doug Peterson portion, the number 31, out in front of the early going in GT. And that's a surprise. That's a team that we weren't even sure would be here. Johnny Holmes. Oh, one car just spun.
The 675s are out backwards.
That's the Nighthawk car. The interesting story of the 675s. The Nighthawk team, that is the car they ran a year ago. Steve Knight and his group, and John Fergus joining with Steve today, and that's the Lola from a year ago.
Yeah, John was actually saying that car is, it's actually Nissan powered, this particular one. Their MG car was damaged, and they wanted to try and get the car out, keep it running, so they could pick up these valuable points. It's extremely important they establish some consistency and keep the points going. So John Fergus was brought in as a backup driver. He said it was critically important that Knight start the race, get at least 11 laps into the race, and thereby keep the streak going.
This car was mothballed. They had gone to one of the MG Lolas here in 2002, as we mentioned. The car suffered a severe fire at the line for 9 hours. It's being repaired at Lola right now. The 675 prototypes is the American Viper Racing GTS cars. We've got people in the pack. Here comes the number 31 portion of Peterson. John Rolo, young veteran in that car. Job cars, third and fourth. So the Alex Job team in the factory cars got their hands full.
Yeah, I wonder really what's going on right now. You can see the two Job cars are running almost in formation right behind. There is 1, 2, 3, 4 in class right away. I wonder if Job is waiting. This is a race where, because of the length and the type of drive, they can do it on a single fuel stop. Yeah. So maybe they're going to just not taking any chances.
Good storyline in the 43 car. Peter Barron put that car into the tire barriers this morning. They had to change all the radiators and the nose piece. As we take a look at the two McKenna Alex Jones cars. Calvin Fish, this GT battle raging at the moment.
Exactly what Alex Joe didn't want to see. Villa's absolutely on the money talking about fuel strategy. They really have to run lean and not full power to do it on one stop if it goes green all the way. Yellow's obviously a different story. So without the car really pressuring them, they're going to be hammers down and use a bit more fuel in this race. They may need a splash.
You know, I like that strategy. The one thing that Calvin, you know as well as I do, that the strategy, being able to run a little bit more at a reduced pace, also helps driver conservation. He just
one car backwards. Peter Barron has spun off of turn 1, I believe. If we can take a look back at 1, it looked like the Yes Network 43 car, a big spin and into the gravel. So Peter Barron, who already put that car into the wall once this morning, and has gone into the dirt.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a pace car coming out for sure. They can't risk leaving that car there because should somebody else spin off, they can almost T-bone him right where he's sitting.
Peter Barron has stuffed that car in the kitty litter. Look at this.
Yeah,
tail
he
happy.
Got way too hot into that corner. Look at that. That's remarkable.
Nearly flipped that car.
Came very close to flipping, but the gravel trap did the job. That's what it's designed to do, is to slow the car immediately.
So Johnny Mollum off to a good start in GT. Peter Barron in the 43 car was running second. He's got that car hung deep in the city.
He sure does. They're going to have to get a tow truck and a dump truck out for that.
On board Biela still leading the show in car number 1, and we are getting a full course caution for the yellow of the afternoon. 5 laps on the board here at Mid-Ohio. Early in the going, the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. The yellow flags waving all around the circuit. We'll take a timeout as we go to break. Your top 10 overall, Biela in the Audi, then Panos being wheeled the 50 car by Brad. We'll be back. Speed Channel's coverage of the American Le Mans Series being brought to you today by Audi. In technology, performance, and design, our goal remains constant, never follow. And by Prudential Financial, growing and protecting your wealth. Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, the American Le Mans Series here on Speed Channel just underway. First caution of the day after 5 laps. Peter Barron spinning off turn 1 in his GT Porsche and stuffing it into the gravel trap. One aspect of safety that can't be overstated, tire safety. Bill Adam found an exciting new innovation in the champion Audi garage.
Well, in the world of auto safety, you're always hearing people tell you to keep your tires inflated to the right pressure. For your street car, it's important because you don't want the handling to go funny, and you certainly don't want a blowout. But what about a race car? Well, in the Audi R8 and the Michelin tires, they have a sensor mounted behind each valve stem, warning them of low pressure. Now, should the pressure go down below a preset limit, and this is a limit that they can change at any time, the driver gets a warning actually on the dashboard. There's a red light here that'll go on and tell the driver a tire is going down, the pressure has gone down, be careful, you don't want that blowout. Now, he doesn't know which tire is getting low, but he does know there's a problem. In the pits, however, it's a different story. Because of real-time telemetry, the pits know which tire is going down, they know the pressure, and should the light even fail, they can call the driver and say, hey, you got a problem with the right front wheel, really be careful and bring it into pits this lap. They know to change the tire and keep the driver safe, and racing is all about safety.
And that's our Michelin safety moment here at Mid-Ohio. Still under full course caution. 7 laps are on the board. Frank Biela is in control. Panos is next in line. We'll be back.
Push the whole thing in. Push the whole thing in. Held by the 8.
Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio, with Bill Adam, Heinrich Benjamin, Andrew Marriott, and Calvin Fisher on pit road. Early in the go, green flag in the air after the Peter Barron spin. The car's been removed to pit road, and the work is going on. Trying to track the Biela in car number 1.
Sometimes these little breaks can help immensely too, because frequently a race will start, your car isn't perfect, but because you're so busy, it only goes around and keeps it running busy all the time. You may not have time to adjust the sweet motor exactly as you want. Well, during pace locks like that, you can take the luxury and put it into sweet motor.
The white Audi, that's the champion car, the privateer team. Next in line, the second Panos, Brian Hurtis, 51. cart. He's a guy that would probably shine in front of this huge crowd.
Yeah, I agree. I think he will too. Remember, there's a couple of schools of thought here. One is maybe lay back because Mid-Ohio frequently does get yellow flags. That was always something. Anytime I was with a two-car team, we would usually send out one car. It's the case. You can't take a chance on running both cars slow, just in case that rare day comes along where nothing happens. But usually, you can take a chance and run one car because yellow flag comes out, everything gets closed back up again.
It is north of the 51. Fifth spot belongs to the 2 car. The other factory out, he did know Capello. Car spun and they broke part of the gearbox yesterday. Calvin Fish, it's a very warm day here. What's the tire strategy you think we'll see today?
Well, typically you're really loading up that left front tire, Rick, and the left side in general with this clockwise type direction of the track. But Donnie Clark, the Michelin guy, really found something out in practice yesterday for the Planos boys. He said with the medium compound, the car was loose. With the hot weather compound, the car was understeering. So rather than try and balance the car, they have a different compound on the front to the rear. They've got medium front, hot weather rear, and have really stabilized the cars. All of the drivers, all 4 drivers, love that setup.
Wow, that's important. I think you get the confidence in the car because you really don't want to put a car in some risky places if you don't know what it's going to do. If it'll suddenly twitch on you or have an unexpected slide, it can destroy a driver's confidence so quickly. Just half a lap ago, I saw Capello just kind of pull out a line going up towards the keyhole, almost to play a mind game. He couldn't get close enough to try and outbrake Brian. That's a case of occupying the mirror. Just make Brian look at his mirror for that fraction of a second.
Just a short again, to the inside.
Exactly the same example. There's no chance of passing. He just wants to try and distract Brian, but Brian is so good around this track. Boy, when he was driving car around here, he was virtually untouchable.
Around the carousel, coming back to the front straightaway. Top 3 have started to pull away again. The battle for 4th is a good one. It's Herta in the red, white, and blue painters. The Silver Audi with the yellow trim. Capello on board, car number 2. Had the MG Lola, the 675 car, up in 5th on the start, but was not able to maintain the pace and settle down back into 6th.
Something too impressive last lap. Look how close these 2 cars. Oh, there's a stop and go penalty.
Yeah, that's the Nighthawk machine. The stop and go penalty, Andrew Marriott. And we'll get an update from Andrew when we get the opportunity, but Steve Knight.
I can go now.
Andrew, what's the situation down there?
The problem here is that Steve Knight came in when the pits were closed. He's been given a 1-lap penalty, plus an additional penalty because his visor was up, so he doesn't really as you. Absolutely.
He is away. Boy, that's a tough way to start the race. First you spin, then you're held up for a long penalty. GTS battle meantime. It's still the 2 Corvettes, but the Celine with Terry Porcello on board is right behind.
Yeah, he hasn't lost any ground, has he?
And
the Ferrari's just
Maspetti is 4th in line at GTS. The Ford went to tail a couple of laps ago. GTS cars is awfully concerned about tire.
Well, there's a real tire battle out there. The Corvettes are on Goodyear, the Celine car on Pirellis, and of course the Ferraris on Michelin's. I just spoke to Conrad. He believes that these Pirellis are going to be good for double stints as long as the driver is good. If they're going to change the driver, they might as well change tires. So if Terry can handle the heat, that's really going to be a factor today. Corvettes, they say, absolutely good time. The Michelin's still an unknown, but at Le Mans, that pro-drive Ferrari got up 2 laps on the Corvette team by having that strategy, being able to double stint.
The pro-drive car was the fastest car at Le Mans in a straight line, which is mind-boggling.
That is. I mean, you think of the number of cubic feet that car is pushing through the air. That has got to be a ton.
And the pro-drive car, here's Terry Porcello. That's a rear-engine car. The Corvette's, of course, front engine. And these may be the hottest cars inside of any of the field.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. I know they're trying to figure out ways. Here we are back on top of the Banana Joe's car. Just give you an idea of some of the elevation changes on the track. So many corners here are blind. Just look up ahead and try to pick out where you're going to go. Plus, it makes it tougher in a car like this because you can't see over the fender crowns in some areas.
Now you're watching from on board the roll hoop here. We were expecting to be able to give you some helmet cam shots from John Field's car. John Field's helmet, actually. It was working fine this morning, but apparently gremlins got into the system there, so I don't know if we're playing that today. But still some beautiful shots from this. This is really the cutting edge of prototype racing. 675 Lola.
It is. With these cars being so new in their development, evolution, they're already going so quickly. It's a bit scary to some of the 900 owners.
Field has settled back into 6th position. His son Clint will drive the car later. They're about 12 seconds behind the leader, which continues to be car number 1, the Audi and Frank Biela. Huge crowd in Mid-Ohio. We'll be back with plenty more. Live on Speed Channel, coverage of the American Le Mans Series. We're at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Tom Christensen looking on. Already some action. Peter Barron spinning down through the gravel trap in the first couple of laps. Fans of all ages enjoying the show here today. Bill, they told us this morning they had sold out of programs by 11 o'clock and closed the infield. It's here for the American Le Mans Series.
It has been getting bigger all the time. I know we talked so many times last year. The crowd, the size has just kept increasing. It's wonderful to see. It's become a family event.
Racing GTS cars.
You have to be so careful here lapping traffic because you're trying to look ahead, actually try and see what's over the crest of the next hill. Oh, and there's the sailing coming in the pits.
Terry Morcello deciding to pit early here. It's very early. 14 laps complete.
Yeah, I don't. Watch, there's Capello, and
take a look back looking for the Audi number 2 if you watch Biela just pull away now. Remember the last time we checked in on the battle up front, Biela, Brabham, and Johnny Herbert were pretty much nose to tail. Now Biela has scooted away and gained a lot of ground. There's your second place car, Brabham. There's Herbert. Viper moves out of the way.
And there he is. He did get by. Now Herta, I think, has dropped by quite a bit.
It's Capello and the Audi there. He is up to 4th. We'll see now as we look back up the front, the what they call the backstretch actually here in Mid-Ohio, coming out of the keyhole area. Look at the gap back to Brian Herta. Huge gap. So Capello starting to make some hay.
But I think maybe the patience has paid off. There's the back coming off.
Let's check in with Calvin Fish in the Saline pit.
Well, this is unscheduled. They just put the car's let's head into the cockpit with Terry Borshellik trying to get a word with it. Something in the driveline. They may have broken a drive shaft, maybe something in the gearbox, but Terry said there's a problem back here. He had to bring it in. They topped up with fuel, but now I see the tail going back on. But there's obviously consternation here on the crew's faces. Something is wrong with this Saline.
So they put the car up on the jacks. The driver door is still open, and the back deck lid will come off.
Yeah, that's not a good sign at all.
They were right up on the back deck with the 2 Corvettes in the first 10 laps. Looked like it would be a spirited GTS fight there for a while.
I thought so too, and particularly with the battle. We spoke to them earlier about the Pirelli tires. One of the problems with the older generation Pirellis were that they were very good for the first 30 or 35 minutes of a stint, and at that point, their performance, and there's the panos just starting to slide really wide off that corner as well, their performance really taper off badly. That has always been one of the strengths of the Michelin tire, is that they can maintain a very fast performance over a really long period of time, which is great now.
Watching David Brabham with second spot, only 3 seconds behind the leader, Biela. Let's get it back to Calvin Fish.
Well, Terry Borshellik still has his helmet on. Terry, what is the problem with the car?
I think we broke our right rear axle.
Seemed like you had the pace of the Corvettes. I mean, was everyone on a race pace? Were those guys trying hard, or were you just kind of running some laps in the early stages?
No, they were trying hard. I think I would.
Okay, well, Terry's on the radio now. Let's get down to Andrew Marriott on the 37 machine.
Yeah, the 37 car, which has been leading the 675 category, has come in. It has just fueled up, but now they can't fire the car up. They cannot fire the car up. Dick Martin is down here. Now they've plugged the computer in, but the problem is firing it up. John Field at the wheel, and still it won't fire up. The guys from AER are down here. And these boys have also got a penalty because they refueled this car when it was still running, and now the rear deck is coming off the car. So, well, certainly the fastest car in the 675 class is the number 37. This one has got a problem.
Remember back to Sears Point, back in the month of May, they had electrical troubles as well. We hear the radio call.
Get this battery in there.
Try to put a fresh battery in the MG Lola. In GT, meantime, Johnny Mullen in car number 31. That's the NPIE car that you see. He is still out in front. To Alex Joe.
Well, in the Alex Joe cars, they're going to be sitting in a really strong position, too, if this keeps going like this, because they're in fuel conservation mode. They're probably both driving very nice and relaxed. That's what the 11900 car just going through the middle there. It's the
Scott Maxwell. Mullen in that first portion of the line. The next car in line at 19th overall, Sasha Masson in the 23. Timo Bernhard driving the 2.2 car, the 2 McKenna Porsches from the Alex Jones stables in Florida.
Both Lucas and Sasha were talking about it. They both had so much fun at Le Mans having that almighty battle all night long. They smile about it when they talk.
Johnny Moller, meantime, turning in a surprising result. And this team, we weren't even sure they were going to be here this weekend. Randy Post has come back, and he will join Johnny Moller as the key drivers for the Peterson entry.
And that has to be a lot of, I think it's inspiration for Randy, because there's nothing better than to come back and try and beat the guy who replaced you.
Absolutely. Here's your leader in car number 1, Frank Bailey. He puts his 18th lap on the board. He's all alone, 5 seconds ahead of David Brabham now. So last year, when the Panos has won here on this 2.25-mile track, partly it was strategy, partly it was good fortune because of the penalty that was assessed. Right now, though, car number 1, the Audi, certainly well in command. Look at this battle for second. Brabham and Herbert nose to tail. Right behind them is Capello.
Johnny Herbert Capello. Now you see that. Notice the 2 tail differences on the Audis. There was a lot of talk about this. Back of the champion car, the ADT champion car, it's a wing that is up on 2 struts. But look at the very back of the. Well, there we go. There's a perfect look. There's 2 struts there. And then we're going to get a look at the back of the Yost car. You'd almost see like the end plates come right down and join onto the bodywork.
What does that do?
Well, a couple of things. That one, it almost has like an aircraft rudder at very high speed. It gives the car much greater stability, keeping it in a straight line. If it's yaw along sideways, it helps correct it. But the other thing is the careful channel of air over the body at the back and underneath the wing. What they claim is that they can run the wing about 3 degrees flatter, which is actually great. They're getting downforce for free.
Some of the technological innovations of the Yost team, the Audi Force, have been able to foster here. Look at this scramble down into the first corner after the original starting point down the backstretch. Herbert shouldering his way by Ron Fellows in car number 3.
We're going to see that ADT champion car just twitching a little bit there as Johnny's trying to feed some throttle on as carefully as he can on the outside of the corner.
Capello got stuck there. He is hung up behind the GT cars as they work their way through the S's.
Yeah, they have to be so careful. These are really the best cars of all the past because you know that all of the Corvette drivers are so experienced. They too, we talked about earlier records. My heaven, 2 years in a row dominating Le Mans. That is a dream come true for Chevrolet and Corvette. All the fellas on that team.
Fellow finally picks his way by the Corvettes and by that 1 Porsche up front so he can resume the chase. One of the challenges of a relatively short track. 5 miles.
Yeah, it's giving the appearance that
some of the spotters talking to the radios, the Corvette drivers getting John Field back on the racetrack. But he did lose considerable time in the 675 category. In fact, he's given up the lead to Ben Devlin and the Archangel number 13. So we will update that and a whole lot more. The Corvette crew watching along with a huge crowd here in Mid-Ohio. Frank Bailey, your leader. A lot more coming your way today on Speed. The AMA Superbikes in action up in Brainerd, Minnesota. Live coverage coming up next when we are done at 5 o'clock Eastern here at Mid-Ohio. Huge gathering of fans. This is a traditional venue, of course, and the fans have turned out in droves here today. As we climb on board with Frank Bailey, car number 1. He's opened up a 2.67 second lead. He's got that advantage over the racetrack right now.
it's a real big advantage. Oh no! Well,
John
there's one
Field.
of the locals.
John Field takes the Banana Joe's MG Lola to the garage area here in Mid-Ohio. Apparently those electrical problems weren't solved by the new battery.
No, isn't that frustrating? Well, you just heard it right there. Just shut it off. And we saw the problems back at Sears Point, and one of the teething problems with cars, of course. But Audi, they just continue to steamroll here. Biela is driving. He's very impressive. He's so smooth in this car.
Part of that trio of drivers that has now won 3 consecutive runnings of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which you've seen here on Speed. Second place car, David Brabham in the Panos. From Jan Magnussen will get in that car a little bit later on. The car they say is much better than it was here a year ago when they won. The Audi is dominant. Third spot belongs to the champion. That's Johnny Herbert at the throttle. Stefan Johansson will climb in as the second driver. And Bill, we talked about it earlier in the weekend. Haven't mentioned it yet on the air, but Andy Wallace had been the co-pilot up until this point.
Yeah, this was a mutually agreed thing. That Andy Wallace wasn't fired. He wasn't replaced by anybody. It was one of these things that Andy has an opportunity to do. Andy is English, of course. And we hope, we have heard, they plan on bringing it to Petit Le Mans this year at Road Atlanta. So to see Andy back in a Bentley, and particularly I think for Andy to win Le Mans in an English car, my God, that would be his dream come true.
There was word that J.J. Leto might climb in the champion car. That didn't happen. He'll remain with Cadillac, and Stefan Johansson has come back to the series on board and taking a look, rather, at the second-place car of David Brabham. He is now 3.9 seconds behind Biela, running in second spot. Calvin Fish, the Audi team, doing some adjusting to the front bodywork on these cars.
And we talked about the fact the tail is different, allowing them to run a little less flap, like Bill discussed, less downforce there, or less drag, in fact, same amount of downforce. On the front end, what they've done with the bodywork is really tighten up to the monocoque, and here you see some louvers over the front wheel arches. These are extended a lot further back than what we see on the champion car, and this really adds a lot of downforce to the front end of the car. The underbody as well is a little bit different. And around mid-Ohio, this is really key, because that'll stop some of the understeer that the guys were fighting last year. Johnny Herbert, Stefan Johansson, they're probably still going to be fighting that a little bit this year with the older car.
Just a little change in the bodywork can make a huge difference. Now, with John Field taking the number 37 Banana Joe's car behind the wall, here's your new leader in the 675 category. This is the Archangel Lola with the Diamond Millington motor. Ben Devlin out of England steering this car.
And we also just heard that number 37 car, the field car that we saw go by the pit wall. The same problem that nabbed at Sebring, the alternator, brought it here again. So it's one of these things that you just have to go through this evolutionary process of finding things that are weak and replace them and strengthen them. But it's tough.
Now back in GT, look at this battle. Cars 3 and 4 wide replaces the two GTS Corvettes still at the head of the field. Bob Dyson's Riley and Scott prototype contenders. There's Kevin Butler's blue Porsche, the Racers Group car. Johnny Mullen still leading in GT. That's the yellow, white, and red Doug Peterson car. James Weaver swinging inside to get around one of the Corvettes there. And Kevin Butler has brought his Racers Group car up to third in class. He's gotten around the number 22. So the Butler car, Kevin and the originally are doing a good job behind the wheel. Let's get in his race car and see what he's seeing right now.
Yeah, now earlier we had a report that car number 62 had been leaking oil. Here is proof of what leaking oil can do. Look at the windshield. You always imagine driving race cars a lot of fun, but when you get in situations like this where you got your windshield covered, you can't use the wiper or it becomes totally opaque. And it's just very difficult to look up ahead to see anything that might be on the track. It really is a bit frightening at this point to drive. You just have to do it. You have to really concentrate. Look at the bottom of the screen here. You're watching telemetry at the same time. Now look how difficult it is to pass a car. You get the glare of the sun. Yeah. You're almost invisible. It's nerve-wracking.
Working up on the car that Peter Barron spun into the gravel trap. They've got the Network Porsche back on the racetrack.
Another value of the pit crew too, Rick. When you come into the pits and get a pit stop, this here is so important to clear this properly. If your pit crew only scrubs the windshield and moves the oil around, it can be even worse.
Now look at this. Butler has gotten around the other Alex Joe car, so he's second in GT. He wants to get by Barron, who's right up on Johnny Mullen's nameplate. Barron not on the same lap. This is not a battle for GT lead, but Kevin Butler's going to make it one, I think, very quickly. Let's find out about the S Network car. Down to Andrew.
Peter Barron is certainly the quickest guy out there in the GT category at the moment. Of course, he's got a couple of laps to make up, and he is worrying Johnny Mullen. He's gone straight past two Michelin shot cars and Joe car, going very quick. But Johnny Mullen is running on Yokohama tyres, so you're only Porsche on the Yoko, and the team switched those tyres for this race. Johnny told me before the race that they actually have two different sorts of Yokos, and he's taken the more conservative one. Calvin, to you.
Well, the 23 car has slowed down. There's nothing wrong with the car other than the fact the windshield looks completely covered in oil. Sasha Masson radioed in. He said, I can't see the team, so just hang in there. Keep the pace as strong as you can. We'll get it sorted and we'll have a strong second run when Lucas gets in.
So we need a pit stop to straighten things out, and you can tell just how dirty those windshields are in the two Alex Joe cars as they come by. Look at
that. Yeah, you can't see a thing out of that. This is just terrifying. I used to hate stuff like this.
Now, the car that's being fingered is perhaps the problem with the 62 of Rich Grubb. That's one of the 675 prototypes. He's shown back in 29th spot, still running. There's Steve Knight in car number 11, and the other of the 675 contenders, the Nighthawk car, last year's car. There's your leader, Biela, blowing by the Alex Jones machines. 4 races within 1 here at Mid-Ohio. You're live on Speed. Johnny Mullen leads the GTs. Back in 1983, State hero Bobby Rahal was victorious in what was then called the Lumberman's 500 Camel GT round here in Mid-Ohio. Driving an Al Holbert Chevy March with Jim Truman and Doc Bundy. The Red Fields team had a very popular victory nearly 20 or 19 years ago this season.
Wasn't popular with me.
You were in the show that day.
They beat my Jaguar.
Frank Beeler continues to lead in car number 1. They were the pole sitters here today. Manuel Puro will share that car with Beeler. Up top in your Michelin speed strip. Herbert, meantime, has gotten by David Bradley to second spot. So Beel's lead 10.9 seconds now over Herbert. Brabham another 3 seconds back. Here comes your second place car, the ADT champion Audi.
I wonder if David just got caught in traffic.
Yeah.
I've seen the Panos sliding a little bit coming off corners, but the gap that Herbert has suddenly put on Brabham just a lap seems to be enormous.
The 2 lane cars, but the traffic's been very heavy. A lot of points around the circuit today.
There's David right there. He's sliding behind. That's an awful lot to gain in just a single lap. And generally, the Panos has the better of the 2 lanes in traffic because it's got that massive torque to it.
So Audi now first and second. Panos fifth. That's your top 5. The 900 prototype car for the 50 car. David Brabham hustling. Magnuson will take the car over a little later on.
And as David passes by the pit wall, he looks over at his crew and says, "Good day, Bruce."
Right behind him, Capello. Unable so far to get up and make much of a run. He will try, no doubt, in the next several laps.
I suspect Reinhold Jost has had a word or two with Mr. Capello and said, "Don't throw it away this time.
Strike the car. Don't make a mistake with the gearbox."
I am beginning a little gun shot by him. This thing, the number of mistakes he did make. Look at Mosport last year. Huge mistake, just about tore the car off.
As we take a look at that battle for third. Down considerably. 6/10 last time by. It's even less than that at the moment.
Yeah, and again, Brabham's car gives every appearance of being okay. I mean, you're watching to see how the 2 cars compare as they come off the corners. They look like they're using about the same amount of track. Audi looks so fast in that section. Really quick right there. And Brabham's used up a bit more road there. Both of these cars are Michelin zones.
If you're new to the American Le Mans Series, what you're seeing here is a front-engine car, the Panos. You rarely see in this form of racing, certainly in prototypes or Indy cars or something like that. And of course, the rear-engine Audi R8 that's been around now a couple of years. Very twin turbos. The Panos, just a big one.
It's such a successful car. They say there are a lot of weak points on the car. It's not stiff enough. It tends to flex, so it's difficult to set the suspension up right. It rides very hard. As you can see, it's very but despite all these complaints, the thing just simply goes out and wins.
And they were the winners at Sears Point last month. Audi, though, comes off 3 in a row at Le Mans. Trying to win their first sprint race of the season in the American Le Mans Series. On board with Kevin Buckner. We'll be back. Full throttle weekend of motorsports worldwide. All the news wrapped up for you tonight. Speed News, 7 o'clock Eastern tonight. David Spain with all the information. On board, Frank Beeler continuing to lead. 33 laps on the board, and he is 12 seconds ahead of Johnny Herbert at second spot. Best racing down the track going on in the GT category, where the Porsches look at this. You've got 5 of them nose to tail down the straightaway here. Johnny Lowe continues to lead.
Overall leader Audi, 3 cars behind you.
Kevin Buckner is second in the blue car, the 66, and then you've got the 2 Alex Jones machines. They are just as close as can be to that.
Yeah, it's one of the advantages, I think, having that bad windshield on the second Alex Jones machine. At least you can follow your own teammate. And that helps because you know that he's a quality driver and you can just more or less brake where he's braking and follow his path. Again, the windshield is so bad. Every time I look at that, it's incredible.
wearing a cool waistcoat with cold water flowing through it. That will certainly help him. He also tells me that they will only definitely stop one time on these Yokohamas. The Alex Job team just been talking to them. They reckon they may have to do a splash and dash. So it's going to be very interesting. This GT category could be won or lost in the pits.
It's very similar cars, have different fuel consumption.
Well, it's really the way the electronics are set up. You've got the option of dialing different settings through the Motronic settings in the car. I mean, how lean and how rich you want to run. And earlier we heard that one of the cars had decided to run a little bit more horsepower. To feed the horses, you've got to pay with gasoline, so you burn it up faster.
Kevin Butler's Racers Group machine taking a look out the back window down Main straightaway here in Mid-Ohio. Back at the two Alex Job cars, and you've got to think that Sasha Masson and Timo Bernhard driving the 23 and the 22, they're going to be frustrated because they're chasing Butler.
And you'll notice too that that's not exactly a stock back window. It's flexing there in the breeze. It's Lexad or plexiglass, something like this. Some weight-saving material.
BJ Zacharias out of Cincinnati, a local driver, will share this car today with Butler. You may not be familiar with the name, but he is a very, very capable young driver, 28 years old. He's won a ton of amateur events. He's been an SCCA national champion. Has a lot of pro experience too. He'll make his first ALMS start of the season here with the prototype cars. With the Panos is up behind Butler.
Yeah, that
right-hander.
That's great. Just look at the difference in braking capability, and then watch it come off this corner here. Just goodbye.
And it takes a lot of coordination on the part of both drivers to make that pass happen safely.
It does. It particularly does on a track like this because of the elevation changes once again. That is so difficult to see. You've got to know where you want to place your car and take steps to do that so far in advance. Then you make a glance at quickly in the mirror to see is it safe to do.
Butler sitting second in GT in the 66. Got a little prototype exclusive Y. Other Audi, the 2-car. He's fourth overall. They're just being very patient. Kind of an unheralded effort.
And I think that's a Panos dealing into the pits.
The Audi crew watching. Car number 50 meantime. Brabham brings the car that was running third onto pit road, so Capello will take over third spot. Overall, we'll show you the top 6. We'll be back in Ohio. Earlier this week, a couple of ALMS drivers checking out the national pastime. Phil Caduno, the MBD team, Ryan Herta from the Panos squad. They were special guests in the AAA Columbus Clippers Friday night. They threw out a couple of ceremonial first pitches. Good form for Milka, I would
come
say.
on, you can throw further than that. All right, Brian, you're up.
Now he bounced one, too.
I think Milka out threw him. What do you think?
This was at Cooper Stadium just down the road in Columbus. Overall 38 laps on the board. The second Panos, Brian Herta on pit road to Calvin Fish.
Staying in, so the drivers are double stinting. We saw Brad stay in the 50 car, and significantly on the 50 car, they're double stinting times, and I think they're going to do the same here. This is, in fact, how they won the race here last year. They double stinted. Audi had a couple of hiccups. Capello passed the pace car and cost him a penalty there, and of course, Bradman Magnussen went on to win. So certainly, if they've got this tire combination right, the pace seems to have steadied down a little bit. They haven't deteriorated too much. They're staying on the safe side. So fuel is in. Brian Herta.
That's one of the things I talked about earlier, Rick, is the tremendous value of the Michelins remaining consistent for such a long time. The luxury of not having to change tires. We see in NASCAR all the time. These guys are changing tires every second lap. They go off, they're too big, too small. Well, the Michelins just keep running very fast all the time.
Nick Devlin was on pit road there. He's the 675 leader. He made a stop for fuel as well. Down to 13. That Lola car out of the Archangel Motorsports shops. He went back underway. Brian Herta shown in 6th position now after that quick stop. And John Field. 675 category. After a lot of work back on the racetrack as well. And he's just moving.
And for those of you wondering why bring it out when you lose this much time, well, to develop a new car, you just simply have to run laps. You've got to punish it, beat it up, take it to the toughest tracks of all. Almost try and force it to break so that you know where the weak link is, and then fix it.
18-year-old Clint Field, John Cena at the helm now. Sharing the car with his dad. John told me this morning that Clint is very quick in this race car. They expect a very, very good effort out of the car.
Look how fast this demonstrates closing up. He's being very cautious going by the GT car. He closed up at a heck of a rate.
Aaron still driving the 43. By him on the right hand
Bruce earlier, who's here, another one of the local drivers, an old friend, driving a 675 car, and he was saying how good these cars are under braking, that they're equal to, maybe even a little bit better than the LM900s, even than the Audis.
Because of the lightweight,
yeah. Just so agile.
Back in 28th spot, lost with those problems. About 15 laps to the leaders.
And something too is just of interest to the viewers. Frank Beeler right now is lapping in a minute 17.2. Brabham, remember he's on his double stint on his tires. Now his last lap was a 17.5. So running virtually the identical time with a full load of fuel. That's a lot of weight. And the same tires. Look at this. Oh, nose to tail.
Will go a lap down, maybe. We'll see. Beeler would like to put him a lap down. Brabham says no, thank you.
Well, Brad would love to bait him into a situation where there might be contact that might be early off. I mean, not to knock him off deliberately get alongside and give the guy a thump. That's just not his style. But should be able to make a mistake.
Maybe create a little good luck.
Create a good luck, yes.
Create an opportunity.
That's pretty equal all the way down the straight so far. There should be a good drafting opportunity for the out. It's got a bit between his teeth here. He's having a good fight.
Takes a look down the inside. He's stuck now behind Mullen.
For sure.
Can afford to be patient. Your GT leaders remain Johnny Mullen and Randy Post in the 31. Let's get an update on some strategy up there pit stop wise. Andrew Marriott.
Yes, well, the Michelin tyres are ready for the Audi. The number one car will come in, I think, on the very next lap, and then the 2 car will come in a lap later. They are waiting with the Michelins. Just talked to Tom Christensen, and he's not sure if his co-driver Dindo is going to double stint it or not. I mean, double stint it as a driver. So wait and see what their strategy is, but it's certainly very exciting down here at Audi.
Wow, there was a huge bit of action there in the front straight, Andrew. I thought there was going to get a car over the wall to maybe busy you.
Yes, I caught that side of that over my eye just as I was doing this over my shoulder. I saw all this smoke. I thought, oh, this is going to be nasty. But that battle in GT is just fantastic, isn't it?
Yes, it is. All around the racetrack, the 2 GTS Corvettes. And these 2 cars in the 900 category. Race leader Biela still trying to work his way up on Brabham and put him a lap down. Hasn't been able to do it. The 900 cars, the other Banana Joe's Intersport machine.
And the Celine has rejoined the fray.
Terry Borcheller's car back on the racetrack.
And right beside the Corvette.
But many, many laps on that. 14 laps on that car.
Let's see how charitable he's going to be as far as letting the Corvette. Look at how clean that Corvette's windshield.
And they've stayed clean, out of trouble all the way so far. Franz Conrad, the team owner, driving the number 26 right now.
Gee, Celine's twitchy right there too. You get to see it under brake. The back of the car just trying to break away. And yeah, he's deliberately staying on the pace, not risking that car at all. Perhaps until the tires come up to full operating temperature.
The running order up top of the screen and our speed strip.
It still looks twitchy. That doesn't look right. I wonder if they maybe knocked the alignment out a little bit when they were doing that work on the rear suspension.
He's done a great job of keeping that car out of trouble today, just staying away from all the other traffic.
You know, talking about those MBD cars, I was speaking with one driver who will remain nameless, and I said, "What's it like?" And he said, "It really doesn't handle very well." I said, "Well, what about the motor?" He says, "That's the good news. It's slow."
I guess it depends on your perspective.
Oh, boy.
Our telemetry on board will be look at the lateral G's this car.
No, it's remarkable. I just love watching the acceleration.
Yeah.
Look at it. It just squirts from 50 to 100 so fast. Here's compression right there. Here's 2.6. See that little twitch going on? That can really catch a lot of drivers up, particularly late in the race. You lose your concentration a bit, just get a little bit lazy. So you can snap sideways so fast. Now here's down to the carousel. This is very low speed, so not all that high. About the same as what we've seen in GT Porsche. Now watch the difference at the end of the straight as he goes through turn 1. Just keep an eye on the head and see what this thing will pull through a fast left.
150 miles an hour. That's a short straight.
Yeah.
there before Biela got on the brakes. Crews are busy. First fuel and tire stops upcoming. One of the Audis should be headed to pit road shortly. We're live at Mid-Ohio with Frank Biela, your leader. Back live at Mid-Ohio, pit stop for the race leader. Let's get an update from pit road.
Pit stop. Let's just pit stop for car number 1 is occurring right now. Frank Biela is handing over to Emanuele Pirro. They are definitely going to change all 4 Michelins, so a very different strategy here compared with Panos. A driver change, also a tyre change. The fuel still going in. Fantastic gas mileage this number 1 Audi has got. Frank Biela walks away. Does not look at all hot or bothered. Now the 4 Michelins are coming off. They look in pretty good condition, however, and the new setting is going on. And so normal Yost German efficiency down here, and this car will be out of here pretty quick. Goes in, picks his tail out, and just almost leaves a tyre mark on my left foot as it left here in great speed. Oh, I wish it had left a tyre mark, really. I could have had that shoe frame. Fantastic stuff.
Would have made a great story for the bar tonight, Andrew. You know, one of the things that impressed me is the fuel economy of that Audi. And here goes the ADT champion car coming now.
Johnny Herbert brings the 38 car running second onto pit road. Shuts the motor off, and they will do a tire stop along with fuel, it appears.
You know, I'm not sure. Look at them just checking.
You
can see them looking at them, but I don't think they're going to change. No, they are. Look at they got it ready on the right rear.
Looks like Herbert will stay in the car.
Yeah, we believe Johnny's going to be staying in, as you can see. They're waiting to see. Tyres are at the ready, but I think they're going to clear it. They're going to clear it. This is the same strategy as Panos, and this could give Johnny Herbert the leg up on Frank Biela. It's going to be interesting to see with fuel only whether they can get the camera out of the way here. Johnny's going to be fully. You got to watch it. But Johnny may take the lead here or take position away from Frank Biela.
Boy, our cameraman almost got the shot of the year as an Audi drove over top of him.
That would have been a souvenir to remember as well. So Herbert slowly, speed limit, of course, on pit road. The Union Jack on top of his helmet. There's the ADT champion car with 38 up to speed. Headed toward the keyhole at Mid-Ohio. Huge car. Look at all the motorhomes parked along the guardrail there, watching this show today.
It's a giant crowd.
So Herbert stepping in and will certainly be part of the show. Let's get it back to pit road, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm with Frank Biela. Fantastic run at the front there, Frank. Fantastic run, but very hot work.
Yeah, it's very hot. I mean, outside temperatures are very high, so in the car it's very hot. But it was a good race. It was good fun. The car was perfect, and I could build up a little gap to the second one. But then David came out again, and he was blocking me a little bit. So that's why we decided to use this gap and do the full service. I hope it runs well for Emanuele now.
And what about the traffic, Frank? How bad was the traffic?
Honestly, I mean, it's terrible. It's always terrible. But on this circuit, I expected it to be more difficult. It was quite okay today.
You'll go back in the car?
No, I don't think so. Normally, he should run until the end.
Thank you.
Frank, if you think this traffic's bad, come on down to Miami. We'll show you bad traffic.
We'll see that, of course, in October when these ALMS cars take to the streets in Miami. There's your leader, Dindo Capello, now in the 2, being shown at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, again, I am impressed with the fuel economy of the Audis. That is really amazing. It almost looked like the Panos had the worst fuel economy of anybody so far. But here's the Corvettes in now.
First of the GTS cars on pit road to Calvin Fish.
Andy Pilgrim jumping out, handing over to Kelly Collins here. They've really worked hard on lightening these Corvettes up. They actually have aluminum cylinder liners now on these 7-liter engines. Saved a bunch of weight, down 1,100 kilos now, and really trying to work hard on the cockpit temperatures. The guys are not using coolers, but they've really worked hard on directing into the Corvette to keep these drivers fresh. Now the number 2 car is in, Andrew Marion.
Frank Biela. Yes, the 2 car is in, and little Dindo Capello jumps out, throws his seat at the mechanic, helps to strap in Tom Christensen. They will also change tyres. Talked about that fuel consumption. Of course, Audi have now got this direct fuel injection, which are actually used on their own cars, and it certainly does help that. So this stop looks all calm and collected, again, as we would expect. And I think in just a moment they will put those tyres on and be interested to see when he comes out exactly what happens. And of course now we've got a full course yellow, and this just could play into their hands.
That's because the 18 car has stopped on the racetrack. One of the two MBD team cars in the 900 category. Didier Duraniges and Johnny Herbert has spun the ADT champion car. He's down in the gravel. Wonder if there was contact between the 38 and the 18.
Well, he has gone a long way off on that gravel. That is in the area where they've just crested a hill. The car gets very, very light at that point. In fact, we almost saw air under one of the front tires. And he's lost it coming down the hill.
This is Didier Duraniges in the 18. He's out of that car. Side of the racetrack. Johnny Herbert, who just pitted, they decided not to put tires on the 38 car and sent Johnny back out.
Yeah, and I don't think that would have been the problem. I mean, he would have had more of a probability of having a problem like that with cold tires. The fact that he kept the same car on, the handling would have remained pretty consistent.
Now this car obviously has mechanical problems. Duraniges is trying to fire up the 18 car. That's why he was kneeling over the cockpit. Let's see what happened to Herbert here. Franz Conrad in the Celine. Here comes Herbert inside one of the, the 42 car clipped him. The 42 car, one of the Orbit Porsches, clipped Johnny Herbert, and that's that traffic that Frank Biela was talking about.
That is it. That's exactly what we made a reference to earlier. Coming over the crest of the hill, the driver is on his way down the other side. He looks in his mirror and sees it's all clear.
Jay Policastro is driving the 42 car. His first outing in this car. His first visit to the American Le Mans Series, joining Orbit on a one-off this weekend because their regular driver, Gary Schulteis, couldn't be here. Johnny Herbert has just stuffed that car into the tires in the sand after that contact. Full course yellow for the second time today. The pace car will be out, and Herbert's chances of bringing home a victory for the ADT champion squad most likely going away with that incident, as he was clipped by the GT Porsche. So we'll sort it out for you. The fans enjoying a beautiful sunny day. American Le Mans Series action. More from Mid-Ohio coming up. Our Speed Channel coverage of the American Le Mans Series today is being brought to you by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. More than an hour into the books here at Mid-Ohio, the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio, alongside Bill Adam, I'm Rick Benjamin, Calvin Fish, and Andrew Marriott on pit road, and they've come to get the ADT Champion 38 car. And Bill, maybe not a lot of damage, but certainly he's lost at least a lap, if not more.
No, I'd be willing to bet that the car is fine. The difficulty is going to be...
Change the driver ID, please.
Sorry, just listening to some of the driver talk. The difficulty is going to be blowing all the sand out. They have to look very carefully in the brake calipers to make sure there's no little stones lodged between the pads.
And, of course, check the radiators and so forth. Let's get it to Andrew Marriott on pit road. And we have some problems down there, obviously, audio-wise. Meantime, the Panos team coming back to pit road with one of their two machines. Driver change coming. Looks like they're thinking about tires as well.
I think David is out. That's Jan Magnussen getting in that car.
The 50 car. Let's get it to Calvin Fish.
Well, taking advantage of this caution period, of course, they're handing the car over to Jan Magnussen. He gets slightly worse fuel mileage than David Brabham, but he's certainly going to be on it here. They're trying to repeat here at Mid-Ohio as a winner, and they're going to tires now, of course, under yellow. Saves them a little bit of time. We have to do the refueling, then driver change can be done as that's happening, and then tire change afterwards. Got the steering wheel on, getting ready to fire Jan up. It looks like a routine stop. Good work from the Panos boys, as you would expect.
Well, you know, you might wonder, how can two drivers get different fuel mileage? It's just a simple matter that some drivers tend to roll off the throttle gently and almost coast for a very brief period before hammering the brakes. Those little tiny things add up. That can explain that difference.
Several teams taking advantage of this second full course caution of the day to get to pit road, change drivers and tires and so forth. Seats being adjusted too at Mid-Ohio. We'll be right back. Back at Mid-Ohio, let's recap the first hour of the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio for you. 30 cars taking the green flag. Peter Barron brings out the first full course caution of the day with a wild slide. The Nighthawk car, Steve Knight penalized a couple of laps. They had problems on pit road. Good battle early in the 900 prototypes between the Panos and the Audi. GTS category dominated by the two Corvettes. GT, a surprise. Mike Peterson's car has led much of the way. The Banana Joe's MG Lola in the 675s. Electrical problems as well for Terry Borgiller and Franz Conrad in the Celine. They fixed them. They're back. Some contact. The 4 car gets bunted, turned around, And this big incident just a moment ago, Johnny Herbert tapped by J. Policastro in the Orbit Racing Porsche. Herbert, the 38 car, they were second. Herbert hard into the gravel trap. Cars on pit road. Bill, they may need to throw a whole new rear end under that out.
Well, it actually would be the fastest way. It appears that it bent at least one of the control arms on that corner, so it might be the quickest thing. But how frustrating is that for Johnny Herbert, driving a perfect race? They had a wonderful pit stop.
This is how hard it was to get this thing on pit road.
Yeah, to try and get the thing up between the pit wall. Now he has to turn to the right. That looks like one of these sprint cars.
Crabbing wildly to get the car to the attention of the crew. Calvin Fish is there.
Yeah, well, Johnny managed to get it back. They couldn't actually get into the garage. Now you see one of these Audis coming in. We've seen Joost do this at Le Mans several times. They say they can get this done in about 4.5 minutes perfectly. There's a lot of damage to this car. It's not as simple as a rear end change. It's going to take a while to get the underwing off the car. It's badly crumpled. All of the fasteners and bolts will probably be bent, and it's going to take a while to get the pieces off. So this isn't going to be a quick fix like we've seen at Le Mans in the past.
That is so hugely frustrating. You get a relatively inexperienced driver out there. Johnny was clearly past him. There was no question, because he got hit on about as far back in the car as possible. He just got slammed even behind the wheel.
And we've talked many times about a driver in a GT car. The prototypes are much lower. It's hard to see them. So that can be a problem for these drivers as they work traffic here at Mid-Ohio, which is a very tight track. Now, Audi hasn't won in the ALMS yet this season, but the #1 team comes to Mid-Ohio on cloud 9 after their victory at Le Mans 2 weeks ago. When Emanuele Pirro, Tom Christensen, and Frank Biela guided their #1 Audi to victory in this year's 24 Hours of Le Mans, it kept a remarkable achievement. For the first time ever, the same team conquering Le Mans 3 years in a row. Since then, life has been sweet and busy for some of the team members.
Lots of greetings, messages from all over the world, friends and lots of important people. So actually, I spent really a lot of time on the computer to, answering and replying to all the messages. And the job is almost done, but I still have something to do.
It's been great. It's always nice to go back with that winning feeling. So I think everybody within the team have had a very good time. But we have been busy too to prepare ourselves for this one and for the remaining of the ALMS races.
So Audi 3 in a row at Le Mans. You can recap that great victory. We'll have highlights from this year's 24 Hours of Le Mans. Sunday, July 14th, in 2 weeks at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. A lot of fun to be there again this year, and of course our live coverage on Speed of the Great Classic. Let's get an update from one of the factory Audi pilots with Andrew Marriott.
Yeah, just to remind you, Rick, that Audi have, of course, won in the ALMS this year. They won Sebring, but that was a long-distance race. Here's Dindo. Dindo, very hard work coming up through the field, and you're still pretty sweaty.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to the problem we got yesterday, we started from the third row, and it's not easy for the other car. Fortunately, I overtook quite soon Herta, but then I had some very bad lap in traffic, and I lost a little bit my gap compared to the first three. Then I started to push, and when I was alone, I set always very quick lap time, and I gained. At the end, I'm very happy because my last lap I did 15.3. It means that the car was not bad, but at the start, the Weaver, he touched me very hard from the back, and he broke my diffuser. And on full tank, the car was oversteering like hell. It was very difficult to drive. In the last lap, with less fuel, was a little bit better, but still very difficult to drive.
Thanks very much, Dindo.
Boy, I can't wait to hear chapter 2. That's a great one.
That was a year's worth of comment from him just a year ago. Getting ready to go green here shortly at Mid-Ohio. Big crowd on hand for the American Le Mans Series. We'll be back for the restart. "17 years ago here at Mid-Ohio, the Porsche 962 was the machine to have. No driving team had better luck with that car than the legendary pairing Al Holbert and Derek Bell. Beat another Porsche team to the checkered flag by nearly a minute. That Lowenbrow car, such a pretty paint scheme.
I think one of the prettiest of all time. I still love looking at those sights.
Getting ready for a restart. be coming up next time around. Calvin Fish with the driver who's going to be very disappointed.
Well, absolutely. Championship leader Johnny Herbert, he had a great run going, and then traffic. What happened out there exactly?
Well, I came up to traffic, one of the Porsches, and went to pass it, and I thought, well, I've definitely given him enough room, but from what I understand, not sure, I haven't seen it myself, but they did say that he looked as if he lost it, and then his front just sort of poked my rear, and that knocked me round and did the damage.
You'd gone for a double stint on the tyres, and the USCRs had already changed, so that gave you a bit of a leg up there. You could have potentially had this one.
Yeah, well, that was the main thing. They told me that, and I thought, well, I could do the same, but then we're only be in the same positions. I thought, well, if I can get the jump ahead. The tyres didn't seem to be too bad, and it was all really down to traffic, and I thought, well, hopefully luck would be on my side, which it wasn't, and I could have kept ahead. It would have been a very interesting end to the race once Stefan got in with a fresh set of tyres.
All right, mate, well, the rear end is now on the car. Stefan strapped in. They're going to get the champion car back out, try and grab a few points.
Johnny Herbert just waiting for his opportunity to get back in the race car. But a frustrating turn of events for him.
Terribly frustrating. He literally did do everything perfectly today, and then he gets taken out by that other car.
Now we take a look at the 51 car, Brian Herta. He's going to face some frustration here in a few moments. Now, we showed you a little bit ago how there was contact between that car and the number 4 Corvette. The Corvette went for a spin. Here's another look at it coming down the hill. This is the 51 and the 4. With Kelly Collins getting spun around by Herta. Just little bumper cars there as they come to the right-hander. Well, and Herta's going to be brought to pit road for a stop-and-go penalty.
And I think he already may have a penalty because he lost one of those winglets we see on the front end. I saw one break off when he hit the back of the Corvette, so that's going to be a big. In fact, you can see it. It's clean. It's totally gone. So that will lose a lot of downforce on the Panos.
That'll cost you a little bit of downforce at speed. Now, the green flag will wave, and then be assessed a penalty. Take the green, come around, and then be brought to pit road for the stop and go. And we are back in the way. Back in the air on lap 57 here.
Now it should be fun too. We get to watch Jan Magnussen fight his way through a little bit of traffic. And you know he wants to get up and play with the Audis.
Magnussen restarting in 4th spot. It's Pirro in the 1, Christensen in the 2, the 2 factory Audis. Herta running third, although he's got to face that Magnussen.
That didn't take very long to get through traffic. He's already passed everybody. So it's right out in front of him. We'll see how quickly he gets into the pace here. I'll let you know lap times as soon as we complete a lap.
There's that what we call a Lincoln motor from the Dyson Racing Squad. Butch Leitzinger, who won here in the Trans Am round yesterday, he's taking over for James Weaver. He's up in 4th spot.
Which is, he has become one of my favorite drivers. Remember that pass he made last year at Mosport on the outside of turn 2? Impossible.
This is a car that is 6 or 8 years old, which is really amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, I heard Rob was sitting in the 10 Rob Dyson. He was even asking his son. He said, how old is that thing? He said, 97. We don't have ownership for it. What engine did we have it in back? And they're trying to figure it out, but it's remarkable. Good, strong cars.
Oh, yeah, the Fed for more. So put a 4th this time. The pit road for the penalty.
He is flying.
And the go. Back underway, but that pit road speed was
that actually was a very surprising move by Brian. I don't know why he tried it. It was rare of making the pass. It effectively looked like he used the Corvette to assist his braking.
He tapped Kelly Collins.
That's strange. Brian really has 2 tracks where he was simply brilliant driving the car. This was one. I'm going to say it was the other. Maybe the best pass of all time. That's right.
There's Leitzinger in the 16 car. Shown in 5th spot. 4th next time out. Driver of the car in the full running car. Top.
Boy, look at Magnussen right behind him. That paint is just reeling him in, hand over fist. Nice move, Butch. That was good. He simply pulled over. Yeah. He saw the Panos coming. That's a lot of class. Well done.
And they're not in the points chase.
But real heads-up driving. That's great.
But Andrew Marriott, a big change coming for the Dyson Racing Squad here in the next few weeks.
Yes, certainly. Rob Dyson is putting a for sale sign on the Riley and Scott. Tell us why you've got some exciting news, Rob.
Well, not just yet, but the car's got a little ways to go before we dispose of them. But we're getting an MG Lola. We hope that the car we get in about 3 weeks, 3.5, 4 weeks, and then we start running it, start some testing first part of August, and hopefully we can run it. The plan would be, if we can test it to get it ready for Mosport. If we can't get it for there, we'll go to Laguna. But it's a daunting task because these guys out here are pretty tough. And I felt that we've got to take it to them a little bit, so we figured the MG Lola looked like a pretty good choice.
Now, you've always stayed away from Le Mans, but it is your intention to go in 2003 to Le Mans.
Well, let's see. I mean, that's obviously the plan. I ran it in '86, had a great experience as a driver. I haven't gone back as an entrant yet. We'll just have to see. I would like to keep that option open, of course. I mean, it's a great event, and hopefully we got a weapon that can take us there. You know, when we're running here with these guys, the Riley's a great car, the Riley Scott, but it's the oldest car on the racetrack. So I think we just got to get, we'll get the MG and let's see how it works, and let's hopefully we can take it to them.
Thanks, Rob Dyson with a new weapon.
I like that. I was really impressed with MG back at Sebring, and I thought that if that car had the shock absorber and spring program the Audi already had, it could have been quicker than the Audi. But it looked so violent over the bumps. Johnny Cage's turns that kept that car in contention. It made it so blasted faster qualifying. Boy, that thing
I understand that one of the cars that the Dyson team plans to acquire is one of the what we consider the factory MG Lolas that ran at Le Mans. Mark Blundell got a look at that car in action at Le Mans just 2 weeks ago. Two factory cars were up in the top 5 for much of the early going at Le Mans. Reliability's really been there in killers.
Yeah, it's bound to be with it being a new car. You know, I think that's part of the excitement with the American Le Mans series. It is growing so quickly. Next year, they're talking about having perhaps 12 races.
One in Europe.
They said one in Europe, and we've even... Please.
You'll have to show me the way over there.
Got to go. I almost wanted to go over there. Never been there. That would be tremendous. From now on, there will have at least one race a year in Europe. That's tremendously exciting. They also just signed that new deal with the ACO, going to be going up until 2008. So in the series, and it just keeps on growing. What we've got all last year and again today.
Fuel to position 2, Jan. Fuel to position 2.
Running well. Good start for that team, Calvin Fish. David Brabham did a great job behind the wheel, didn't he?
Calvin's not very talkative today,
we'll bring
Rick.
Calvin into the mix here.
Was it something you said to him last night?
Well, he didn't arrive till this morning, so I didn't get a chance to go with him. Magnussen in this car, of course, the winning combination here a year ago at Mid-Ohio. We buy that number 42. That's the Porsche that clipped the car of Johnny Herbert and sent him spinning through the rally track.
Yeah, not so much a driver error from not having seen Herbert. I think Johnny was exactly right that he was a bit out of control.
Jim Magnussen showing on the lead lap, 13 seconds behind Emmanuel Puro, who's leading the car along the Audis. His teammate back in 6th position today. Very patient. They've moved up nicely to 7th. Let's get it back on Calvin Fish.
You talked about David Braham's start, how good it was. It could have been a lot better on the first lap when he went to change the fuel mixture. The knob came out off in his hand, stuck on the number 1 setting, David. What is that exactly? Number 1, is that lean or rich? How much power?
Well, I mean, it's when the pace car comes out, you can save as much fuel as you possibly can. When I went to turn it to the race mixture, it fell off in my hand and then still read like number 1 on my dash. So I was busily trying to, like the last lap before the start, I was just trying to get there and try and turn it. And they said, keep trying, and I threw it out.
P3 minus
just
10.
about to go green and it still said 1. But apparently I did turn it, but it didn't show on the dash. So luckily we did okay.
All right, mate, now you've changed that and Jan has a new steering wheel on the car during the pit stop.
Yeah, now we're a bit more adjustable. Yeah, we should be okay though.
All right, mate, give it a good one.
So you got Magnussen with the pin in his team. 3rd spot in car number 50. Up on the screen, of course, the running order of the speed strip. You see how much time it is. This is a timed event if you're new to ALMS competition. 2 hours and 45 minutes the time for these sprint races. We've got an hour 11 remaining with action here at Mid-Ohio. Talking about the schedule for next year, there's talk of another major city street race. Of course, we're just weeks away from going to Washington, D.C. Close to being laid out around RFK Stadium. Really looking forward to being in the nation's capital in the month of July. I'm going to the back with Puro, who's out in front here at Mid-Ohio.
Puro continued to run fairly quick laps, but he is being hauled in by Christensen. I mean, Tom is running right now. Let's see. 2 seconds a lap quicker. So Mr. Christensen doing what he does best. He flies.
He is 1.2 seconds back, and they're in-headed traffic down the backstretch now. The one car has been out in front all the way, save for a moment or two on pit stops. Pirro working underneath one of the MBD cars. Cruz looking on at Mid-Ohio. We'll be back on Speed. Hey, the action never stops here on Speed. Tonight, the Toyota Atlantic Championship in Chicago. Tonight at 9 Eastern. Bob Marshall, Brian Till, Scott Miller. 9 Eastern tonight, only here on Speed. There's your leader, car number 1. Pirro driving, but Bill Adam, you were saying a moment ago, he had a very close call down on the carousel.
Well, I just happened to glance up that way as he was coming through the carousel, and he actually made contact with another car. He was trying to pass him. That's why these things so close. Look at this, ducks to the inside. Just as he's going to try and go out onto that quick little left coming on the front straight. Look right here, bang! Now that could have really had huge effect because he has all those little winglets on the nose. The car is careful. I mean, boy, you spend hours and hours of testing and fine-tuning, getting the car just right. And then you knock those things off, and suddenly your handling changes.
That's what makes it such fun to watch these cars, I think, on a shorter track like Mid-Ohio. That was a wheel wanger with Mark Newhouse driving car number 30. The other Banana Joe's Intersport car. That's a 900 prototype, a Lola Judd that team has run the last couple of years. Doesn't seem to slow down Pirro any. He's got a lead of about 1.5 seconds over Christensen.
No, and I've got to believe that there's certainly ego involved here because Tom Christensen is, and I think correctly, being perceived as the fastest Audi R8 driver. Well, when you get past time and time again, you want to try and think, I got to stop this guy.
Speaking of stopping, here is the number 42, Joe Paulo Castro, a GT, the Porsche, with that damaged right front fender.
I wonder if that's the damage from the champion car.
That's the contact he made in the 38 car. But they've got the deck lid off, taking a look at the motor. And they will take a look at the front, probably put some tape on the front to try to repair that. Front GT meantime, the 31 car started by Johnny Moore. Randy Popes is at the throttle right behind him, very close. Lucas Luhr in the 23 car, not even half a second to get.
What a great battle. You see Lucas
James Weaver behind.
Lucas, I think he's such an excellent young driver. He's really great. He's great concentration, very nice car control.
Radio here is the Lucas Luhr radio, the ALMS team.
Boy, he is so close. He may take a shot at passing him at the end of the straight. That should give him a very good draft down the straight.
Lucas Luhr showing
no. I'll tell you what's strong, that the other Porsche just simply pulled away from him. That's even more impressive.
Kenna Porsche.
See, Lucas Luhr's a little tighter coming around that corner, showing he's got a little car to drift over to the edge of the road, or maybe he was just simply from sliding. But Lucas is
This has been a great four-car battle in GT from the very start. These cars are 13th and 14th overall in our 30-car field. That's very impressive for the GT machinery here in Mid-Ohio. BJ Zacharias, the Cincinnati driver, has gotten into Kevin Buckler's 66. He's third in the category. He's 10 seconds behind this battle. And then the 79 car of Mike Fitzgerald in fourth. Riding with Zacharias here.
And this is coming up to the area, the carousel, just before we come out of the start-finish straight. It's ducked out to the left, and there we go by the pits. The pits are just to our left. There he is.
On the team car, the second Alex Jones car with York Bergmeister up. He's back in fifth in GT. They've had a problem.
Hey, news, just went through one, David.
They've lost considerable ground. There's Zacharias in the Buckler car. Adobe Ruffler's personal wines. Of course, his race team is based right in Sears Pointer now, Infineon Raceway in Sonoma, California.
I think you and I need to do some in-depth exploring of Adobe
so.
Road.
The sample last night was very tasty, I must say.
My, great one.
Battle for the lead in GT is what you're watching here. Randy Popes in the 31. Behind him, number 23 with Lucas Luhr.
See how light the cars get over the crest of the hill there again? We should really point that out the next time we get an opportunity to get that camera shot. Because the elevation changes so quickly, it is so easy to get wheels going. And then the two car side
Johnny Molan was a real hero in that first session. Johnny, it wasn't easy. We understand the two Joe cars had oil over their windscreens. Did you have the same?
I had the worst of all of us because I was the leading GT car with a 675 car that was dropping oil. Should have been black flag for sure. I couldn't see anything at all. And the oil got worse and worse, and then it started picking up rubber and dirt. And I was looking out the side window to judge my braking, and it was worse than Le Mans last year when I had appalling weather conditions and no wipers, and it was worse because I just couldn't see no matter where I looked. And against my better judgment, because I didn't want to let Mike Peterson and Dale White and all these guys down because they worked so hard to get us out there, and I was leading, and I just didn't want to let them down. I just kept going. When that yellow came, I was so happy.
You've got a secret weapon here. You got these tubes. What's this all about?
This is my cool suit, which actually wasn't working very well because they put the water in the bag to try and change it for Randy, and it didn't get it cold. So if anything, it was hotter than it would have been without it. But I was surviving. I mean, that was the least of my worries. Visibility, there was a Panos stopped on the left on the racing line, and something possessed me to move to the middle of the road, and I missed him by about an inch, and if I'd hit him at 150, you know. But I mean, I'm really pleased that I led. I'm pleased I came in and handed over in the lead, and I know Randy will do a great job now, and we're still leading, and if God willing, we'll win it.
Yes, and down with the Joke boys is Calvin.
Yes, Andrew, we'll get the story down here. Alex, we're seeing on the racetrack that once these McKenna Porsches may not be the fastest thing down the straight. Do you just have the cars leaned out for fuel consumption, or is there a difference in downforce between you and the 31 car?
No, we're definitely going for fuel mileage because it's close to make the race on one stop. So we got to be sure we can make it on one. Plus the 31 car really is running really strong. They got Randy Popes in there, as you know. He drove for me the last 2 years, and you know I know he's fast, so they're doing really good.
I hope you made the right decision there, letting Randy go. Tell us about the rest of the way. Is there any problems with the car other than the visibility that Sasha had earlier with the oil on the screen?
No, there's no problem at all. Just the oil affected actually the 31 car in both my cars, and we all had a really hard time seeing that. Other than that, everything's good.
All right, Alex Yob looking for another win here today. They're 2 for 2 in the next competition this year.
One of the nicest guys in the sport, too.
Yeah, for sure. I think that is one of the most frightening things from a driver's standpoint is when you can't see the road. You can drive at 150 or 200 miles an hour, and as long as you can see what you're doing, then you're working within your own preset limits. But suddenly to have a windshield fogged up or covered by oil like that, it's such a mystery. I mean, I agree with Johnny. That is absolutely terrifying. It's such a frightening experience. And, yeah, I bet he was praying for that yellow flag.
Randy Popes leads Lucas. This is the battle for the lead in GT. Race leader on his way back.
Yellow Audi behind. Yellow Audi behind.
We'll be back. $1990, a classic year for GTP racing. Nissan was the car of choice back then. Jeff Brabham and Derek Daly had the lead early, but lost the point to Davy Jones in the Castrol Jaguar. The Jag had an oil pump giveaway, gave the lead back to the Nissan. Brabham steamed to the win, his fourth in 1990, on his way to the GTP IMSA Championship. On board Emanuele Pirro, caution on the racetrack. Third time today, full course yellow. Pirro, your leader, but the leading car in the 675 category, the Archangel Lola, has gone through the gravel into the tire barrier. The car being driven originally by Ben Devlin. Brett Arsenault was at the wheel at this point. They were 10th overall. Let's take a look at what happens here to Arsenault. The right-hander.
Yeah, that's the same area track that Johnny Herbert had the problem.
Gets to the corner, locks up the brakes, and goes straight off.
You know what? I think he just simply got a little bit offline. You saw him on the grade, the very outside edge of the track, and he didn't have enough traction to keep the wheels rotating.
You can see that the fronts were stopped. And he appears to be, he's in the car, his hands move, so he's okay. So they're going to go get him, no doubt. But as we heard when Johnny Herbert went off, it can do a lot of damage to the under tray of those race cars.
Oh, it'll make such a mess. Well, plus all of the brake scoops and every scoop that leads to any cooling area in the car just gets jammed up solid. Look at inside the dashboard.
Yeah.
Even up on top.
Yeah, you need to run that through the car wash, no doubt about it.
All kinds of gravel up in there.
Brett Arsenault with the visor up, pace car headed out. Full course caution for the third time today. As we're about 50 minutes from the checkered flag here at Mid-Ohio. The two factory Audis, Emanuele Pirro and Tom Christensen, are your leaders. John and Clint Field are back on the racetrack, and they may have a shot here in the season.
What do you want to do? Do you want to keep?
We'll find out when we come back. Our Speed Channel coverage of the American Le Mans Series being brought to you today by Porsche, what only a Porsche brings to driving. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio. Under caution, and the leaders on pit road. Calvin Fish is there.
Well, Emanuele Pirro's brought his car in, and amazingly, Tom Christensen has not. So a little different strategy playing out here. It should be fuel only. Haven't had many laps on these tyres, so Pirro's just trying to clear the strategy there, Bill.
Well, you know what I think it might be is that if Christensen had pulled in, he would have had to come in behind Pirro, which meant effectively he could not have passed him in the pits.
Back to pit road, Andrew Marriott.
Yes, well, Jan Magnussen's down here sitting impassively behind the wheel of his Panos, and new tyres are, of course, going to go on this time. And here the wheel guns going, those tyres come off, a fresh set of Michelin's going on, and meanwhile in the background I can just see Brian Herter climbing out of his Panos, so the two Panos pit stops taking place at exactly the same time. It'll be interesting to see who actually gets off this pit lane first. It's going to be Jan Magnussen.
In third spot when he came to pit road. Good timing, really. Much less than an hour to go. Should be the final stop for everyone, at least in terms of regularly scheduled tire and fuel service. We'll be back.
That was the most bizarre thing I've ever watched. He's fixing his gloves, he's playing with different gauges and moving things around. Totally forgot that the race is about to restart and got blown by when the green flag fell, including one of the Corvettes even got by.
Tom Christensen in the 2 car is your new leader. Jan Magnussen has moved to second now, and Pirro is third. And look at this, he is stuck in traffic.
Well, how many different ways can I find to lose a race? This is amazing.
There's plenty of warning. The starter gives the field an indication from the flag stand that there's 1 to go. The lights go out of the safety car. For whatever reason, Emanuele just didn't get the message.
That's completely crazy. I don't have an explanation for that. A professional driver of his caliber and his reputation should never do something like that. You keep up to date with your performance. They can even advise you when you're out of sight of the green flag. They will tell you green is coming. Get ready. And look at this. Yeah. Now he almost made another mistake there, trying to go inside that GT Porsche when it was the GT car's line.
Now Christensen is 20 seconds to the good here in front of his teammate. Magnussen is second in the Panos, the 50 car. He's 18 seconds back. So at this point, as we work past 4 o'clock Eastern, about 40 minutes of racing to go. Christensen just has to keep it between the ball.
It's one more brick in the wall that says Tom Christensen is the best sports car driver in the world.
Take another look. We'll show you how Pirro was handling this as the field was getting ready for the last restart just a moment ago. Here he is on the inside of the Panos. The Corvette got by him too.
Yeah, it's just very casual, not paying any sort of attention. You see the other Corvette almost comes up and just rear ends him. He's still not on the throttle. Look how the other 2 cars up ahead, they're stretching all this distance down here and he's still not on the throttle.
We were able to watch from Pirro's onboard camera, and let's take a look. Let's roll that tape for you now. And you can hear he's not up to full pride. Oh, there goes the Corvette.
And look at the helmet movement. He's kind of looking around, just
saying, what's going on?
And listen. Listen to this. He's still not using hard acceleration. I mean, completely asleep.
Yeah, he didn't really get up to full pride until he was on the second straightaway. Not a lot of time to try to make up that ground.
Tom Christensen, 22 seconds ahead now. And Jan Magnussen is the guy who's behind us. Magnussen now 4 seconds ahead, so there still is a slight chance.
Let's get an update on the situation for pit road. Andrew Marriott.
Yeah, Brian Herter gave a very strong run for Panos there. Enjoy that, he's smiling.
Yeah, I did have a good time. It was a shame the incident there with the Corvette. We got the 10-second penalty, or this topical penalty. That That hurt us a bit, but luckily this yellow came at a good time for us, kind of put us back in the game. So, you know, we'll see what happens.
Is this a lot harder work than racing around here in the next jump car?
These cars are a little bit easier. They got power steering. They are a bit bigger and heavier. They're hotter. So, you know, they're hard in different ways.
Are you a sports car racer yet?
I'm getting close to be, yeah.
Thanks very much, Brian.
See, Andrew, you should have asked Brian, was he upset when that Corvette backed into him? You want to take a very political standpoint with these.
Yeah, can I just add on Pirro? I just want, you know, we heard earlier on he was doing those emails, then he was catching up on his emails.
Yeah. I think he was trying to download information he didn't have there.
Well, one of Alex Jones' big sponsors is Cybernaut, these portable computers, so who knows, he might have been wearing one of these.
Watching the 51 car go out and steering the car right now on in relief for another final stint.
Bill Oberlin driving one of his fairly normal vehicles. Bill Oberlin is another boat owner. Runs a 26 or 27-foot Carrera boat, a catamaran Carrera with 1,400 horsepower.
What did he tell us? It uses half a tank of fuel in half an hour, basically?
I don't think I'll ever go for a ride with that. He said this thing's capable of something like 150 miles an hour.
Yeah, you owe me a boat ride when we get to Miami in October, by the way.
I'll take you by I don't want to go in one like Bill.
No. The wheel of his race car right here at Mid-Ohio. As we watch the car running in from the spot, let's find out more about the Audi situation. Talbot Fish.
Well, I was very surprised, Dendo, that Tom didn't pit there on the yellow. Was that a mistake communication-wise, or are you playing a different strategy, trying to make a gap here?
No. We had to pit. I think the problem was that he wanted to wait the next lap, but unfortunately the pace car reached off the light, and I think Tom wanted to avoid to pit together with the other car just to avoid the confusion.
But they went back green before you expected, and hence he had to go. So last year you had the fastest car here again, and a little bit of a faux pas in the pit lane, and passing the pace car right there cost you the victory. I mean, unless things change around here, could look the same way for you again.
Now we have to hope in another yellow, because if not, I think we are not in a very good position.
Did you see with Manueli there when they went back to green? I mean, Gian really got a jump on him there. Was he unaware that it was going back to green as well? Was the whole team not sure about the green flag situation? We saw that Manueli really got jumped there by Magnussen on the restart. Was he unaware going back to green also?
I don't know, because I didn't understand why Magnussen overtook him, and from the camera car of Emanuele, it looks like he got some problem, because then suddenly he started again to push, but while he was very slow, he lost the position also against the slowest car. I don't know what's happened really.
Okay, well, Bill, even with the efficiency of Yost, sometimes it gets a little bit confusing down here in Portland.
Yeah, I think it's really confusing right now, because the one thing they do have to worry about, the problem they're talking about, is the car in second place. The Panos of Jan Magnussen. Shades of last year. Here we go again.
So they are going to have to stop again, evidently, with the two car. One more stop, and it may have to be done under green flag conditions. Their lead, though, is 25 seconds over Magnussen. We'll find out if the strategy works when we come back. One year ago here at Mid-Ohio, troubles for Audi. A poor driver change put the #1 team behind, and then a stop-and-go penalty for passing the pace car set up a wide-open run to the checkered flag. And the beneficiary, the Panos squad. Jan Magnussen held off a charging Dindo Capello. It was Panos' first win of 2001 in the American Le Mans Series. And Bill Adam, we could be seeing something very similar here today, because the two car that has taken over the lead, they're going to have to stop.
Yeah, it's great. It's getting set up so perfectly. It's really wonderful. And right now, all of the drivers that are playing in this scenario, Tom Christensen, Jan Magnussen, and Manuel Pirro, they're all running incredibly fast laps. Really, really fast. Christensen is currently running a 16.5. Magnussen is even faster at a 15.9. And Pirro just ran a 15.68. So they are hauling around this track, even though it's late in the race. There's probably a lot of marbles on the track. Tires are getting worn. These guys got their feet deep into the cars.
Richardson hard on the throttle. He's not conserving fuel. They know they'll have to stop again. Here comes the car that's running in second spot with Magnussen, the team that won it here 2 years ago. Now the gap is about 20 seconds. We'll see here. Magnussen
numbers look good. Look good on the fuel numbers, Jan.
Well, there you just heard it.
Pano's team's radio telling Magnuson fuel consumption looks good. And with the 675, this has been an up and down battle all day. But Arsenault just put the 13 car that was leading in the gravel.
Your times are with the leaders. Your times are with the leaders. You're minus 23.
Out in front in the 675, so we've got a good battle actually. Buckham's got a little bit of a lead over John Fergus, not much. A lot can happen. 17th overall, that's the Pill Beam chassis. The Nissan motor, that Route 66. Taken over for the final stint, Ronnie Buckham's son.
That was one of those heroes I always pick up magazines and read on. Ronnie Buckham, Hollywood Sports Cars, Austin Healey.
GTS, this one very much in the hands of the Corvettes. It's been a while since we've checked in. Johnny O'Connell's taken over the 3-car with Ron Bellows. Johnny O has that car 6th overall, a lap ahead of his teammate Kelly Collins in the 4. They're first and second at GTS. Earlier at the top of the broadcast, and there you see the pan that, tilt that thing up a little bit so we can see through the windshield.
There it is, showing the airbag. I don't think so.
Johnny O flashes the lights, and John Fergus in the 11 car, the 675 machine. Broadcast, we talked about whether or not, and here comes
the ADT champion back in the fray. They have recovered and made that rear end change so their drivers crashed.
These were the ideas we thought might play out in GTS today. Corvette with the win string on the field. The ALMS car was fast, but they've had mechanical problems once again. 52 laps in that car. They've lost it several times. They're at the back in the running order here today. In fact, they're 29th overall. So it has not been a good day for the string or for Celine and the Corvettes with that the reliability factor that they've just been dominant here all day.
I think the day of the Ferrari will be in the future, though. That car is growing by leaps and bounds. Right now, it's so quick, and every single piece in that car is brand new. The motor is brand new. It's being developed by John Ward, a very, very good engine builder here in the United States. So they have to go through this whole car, much like the 675 class. They've got to refine it after each race. They go back and learn, and they're doing a lot of testing.
Well, we've seen the potential with the Ferrari package at GTS, Sebring, and at Le Mans, which was the fastest isn't there yet. Now at GT, this has been the dogfight of the day. The 31 car with Randy Pope continues to lead. Lucas Luhr these cars have been nose to tail for most of the afternoon.
That's a good battle for both of them. They will both get out of this having thoroughly enjoyed their day, because when you get into a good battle, as long as you know the other driver is a really quality driver, it's great fun. You try and watch and see what he does. If he pushes in a little late, he doesn't quite get into the apex, you can try and take advantage. Here's some good time.
Lucas Luhr is working the 23 car to try to get around Randy Pope. It was his teammate a year ago here.
Performance friction brakes. Use those.
Would that be on your Ferrari or on the box?
That's on my Porsche. On the front. Oh,
and Lucas to the inside. Randy Pope gets spun by Lucas Luhr.
I touched him. I need to come into the pit.
You heard Lucas. He
what is the matter?
Touched him.
Randy blocked me, and I think my front suspension.
So Randy blocked the damage to the Lucas Luhr car.
He's
got a broken tire on the left front wheel. And he stopped.
Unbelievable mistake by Lucas Luhr. He dove to the inside, thought he had a chance, and he did not.
And guess who's going to benefit from all this? Kevin
Can you move
team.
yet?
They will take over the lead in GT. The team that won Daytona, they won Le Mans 2 weeks ago. Lucas Luhr has buried the 23 car in the
Did you slide off or did the
79 automobile also in contention in GT, certainly.
Lucas
slide off.
He will be sick right now. He will just be dying. Now let's take a look at the right rear suspension on that car. Where Lucas hit.
He's talking to his crew, to Alex Job on the radio.
Oh no, look at the wheel.
Yeah, Randy Pope has damage on the 31 car.
He's gone too.
Slowly around the racetrack, heading toward pit road. And you can didn't see that one coming. Lucas Luhr had made up his mind he was going to try to grab the lead in GT right there. Boy, oh boy. Randy Pope with his hands full to try to get that car to pit road. Now this is for the lead. 3 cars nose to tail. Mike Fitzgerald is in the 79. He is the leader. BJ Zacharias in the blue car in second spot. You're on board with Zacharias in the Racers Group 66. Third belongs to the other Alex Jones car meantime. That should be the 22 with Eric Burmeister. There they are, 1, 2, and 3 now that the 2 leaders took each other out. So Popst brings the Peterson car to pit road. I don't think he's going to be able to get that car back out on the racetrack, Bill.
No, I'm sure. That's got to be a control element. Watch the replay. You're going to watch Lucas try and dive up the inside, and right there he thinks he's got it. You know, that's questionable. I'm not sure. He was so far alongside.
Did Randy know he was there, though? Randy cut to the inside to try to get the apex to the right-hander. Here's another look. This is Lucas Luhr heading to the gravel trap with a broken left front wheel section.
Yes. Yeah, right there. Look at it, just flapping all over the place.
Tie rod, most likely?
Yes.
So Luhr comes to a stop. So a tremendous change in the GT category. Here's another angle of the pass attempt by Luhr.
Yeah, Lucas got a great run down the inside, but doesn't quite get wheel to wheel. I mean, he actually tried to back out a little bit and avoid contact and couldn't.
Randy Popst gets the 31 to pit road, but Lucas looks like he's done for the afternoon.
Well,
and full course caution once again.
That's right. And now what this brings us to is the thing that Audi was praying for. They said they needed a full course caution.
So Christensen will get a chance to make his fuel stop under caution. Let's get an update, Andrew Marriott.
Yeah, so I'm at the back of the Randy Popst car, and it's seriously disarranged here. I would say a rear wishbone has broken. I think that this car's going absolutely nowhere, Calvin.
Well, that's a big shame there, Andrew, but I just heard radio communication. Lucas did tell his team that Randy blocked me. I had nowhere to go. Just want to update the leaders of the race. Audi, if they come in, we expect them to only take fuel only. 15 to 20 seconds of fuel. Payno's boys said they're good to go. Magnussen did 51, or that car did 51 minutes on its last fuel stint. There were 49 minutes left in the race when they came in and did that last fuel stop.
So as we thought, Payno should be set to run with the checkered flag. Now it's a 20-second fuel only stop under caution. The gap right now 10 seconds between the 2 leaders. The caution, of course, should allow Magnussen to close part of that gap up, but Christensen in the 2, he's got to go all the way around the racetrack.
Yes. And you heard too that Lucas said Randy blocked him. I guarantee you Randy's going to say Lucas come in and T-boned me. It's the old situation. It's the windshield and the bug.
Yeah. About 30 minutes of racing should be left here today at Mid-Ohio, and there you see the Westward Ho Porsche Mike Peterson team. Randy Popst at the wheel with that damage on the right rear corner, and they're not in any hurry to try to fix it. Meantime, the hook has gone to get Lucas Luhr in the Alex Joe McKenna Porsche, the 23. Let's find out how Randy Popst saw things play out. Andrew Marriott.
Oh, Randy, what a disappointment. What did you see in that incident?
Well, it was a great race up till then, wasn't it? I mean, Peterson Motorsports and White Lightning Racing put together one heck of a Porsche here. We were having a great battle with me, and I think it was Lucas in that McKenna car. And I let a Panos under and came down into the corner, and he just drove into the back of me and ruined what was a great competition and a good show. I'm really glad for Yokohama. They were holding up well, and it was, we had a shot at it. He was strong, we were strong. It's supposed to be man to man, you know.
Well, Lucas radioed into his team and said you cut him up.
Well, my right rear's broken and his left front is.
Enough said.
Yeah, we were running well together. I mean, it's not even the last lap. I don't understand, but it's a darn shame for the fans and for the Peterson Motorsports White Lightning team and for Porsche.
Next week, you'll be there.
Oh, yeah, we'll be back.
You can tell how jazzed Randy Popst is by the strength of that battle, by how intense it was, even though he is done for the day. As the field continues under caution, waiting to get the record up on the racetrack, and Christensen did not come to pit road. Could be a mistake made again by the Yost team. Bill Adam, I think so.
I think so.
Grab a quick timeout. Come back for more at Mid-Ohio. It's been a wild second hour of action here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Emanuele Pirro was leading when the hour began in the red trimmed Audi, the number 1. Contact here between one of the Panoses and the 4 car, the Corvette. Ryan Herta had to come to pit road for a stop and go for that bunt. Big contact here between one of the GT Porsches and Johnny Herbert, took him out of contention. Your 675 leader, Brett Arsenault, went right off one of the corners, maybe with a brake problem, into the gravel. On a restart, Emanuele Pirro coughed up the lead because he didn't know the green was coming back out. He wasn't ready to go. And then just moments ago, the battle in GT was intense between the 31 of Randy Pope and the 23 of Lucas Luhr. There was contact. Both cars heavily damaged, and they are out of the hunt. And under caution, Tom Christensen again did not pit. Christensen at the head of the field. Calvin Fish, pit road's got to be open. He didn't bring the car in. What's going on?
I tell you, I am just amazed. I just went up to ET, who's their engineer, and looked at Dindo, and they're like laughing at me. I said, there's no way you guys can go the rest of the way on fuel. And they like put their fingers together and had a very small gap, saying, it's that close. The amount of yellow lasts that they've had, they think they may be able to stretch it, but that just boggles my mind, Bill.
God, I agree with you. I mean, the Audi showed that it had extremely good economy in that first bit because it was by far the last of the 900 cars to stop. I don't think it could go this far either.
They've run an hour and 9 minutes, we're being told, on this fuel load alone, and we are 25 minutes from the checkered flag. I can't imagine they could stretch it for an hour and 34 minutes of fuel. If you turn the boost down and lean it way out.
I think you'd have to fill the rear wing with fuel to get away with something like that.
Maybe some NASCAR-type creativity going on there.
Would they do that? Amazing.
Looks like we'll go green next time by. Lights are out on the safety car, and the person riding in the shotgun seat, giving the drivers the indication 1 lap to go. So the fans ought to see quite a shootout. A reminder, all the NASCAR information you need, of course, right here on Speed inside Winston Cup Racing tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern, and every Monday night down the best with the boys. Recap the weekend's action for you. So join us inside Winston Cup, always here at Speed with Pirro.
Yeah, looking directly ahead, too. I believe that's Magnussen right in front of him.
He starts third, Magnussen second. Christensen the race leader.
And you think somebody's going to tell him to step on the gas this time? I think there's a space right there to tell him for some. We have an opportunity here, Manuel.
And they're still very much jazzed after straight Le Mans. Talked to Emanuele a couple of different times this weekend, and they are still very much floating, you might say, that record-setting, history-making win.
Look at this.
The Audi, the number 2 car, has only stopped once, and look at that, a 2-minute plus advantage over the Panos. They made 3 fuel stops.
Incredible, and yet the number 50 Panos is in a strong second place.
Well, it's the timing of the stops and during cautions.
It's amazing.
It makes a difference.
He's not trying to well, actually, he will. It's a smaller car. He's just staying he knows that Magnussen will be charging through to try and catch him. So he has to use all of the revs to try and run this thing max range.
Magnussen just 5 seconds behind when they came to the line. They would have been 25 seconds before the caution. Field able to stay with Christensen. Here comes Magnussen in the Panos, sitting second. The 37 is not second. He's got by Magnussen. So that could be what the Audi team wants to see. Now they've got some cushion there.
And now what's it?
Is there a problem?
Well, I'm trying to look at that.
Magnussen's got some damage there.
I think he did get some damage.
He's moved to second spot now.
He's trying to get a look at that front end. Magnussen, because if he has lost 1 or 2 of those little moments, that would affect the whole of that car. That would make a huge difference.
Roberts will cut out. They will repeat their victory from 1 year ago. Two Audis are in front once again. The 2 car with Christensen apparently trying to stretch it out and wave the checkered flag.
Keep an eye on lap times too as they come out and complete this lap just to see how quickly they're going. Now, they've all got fairly cool tires, so it wouldn't really be indicative. The back of the car sliding there between the side of panels just going to pitch out. All right, Christensen just ran a 17.8. Hero in second place, 16 flat, but Magnussen 17.
Map position 4, no problem. Map position 4 to the end. Map 4.
Now there it is. Yeah, you heard Tom. He's giving him the luxury of at least having But you never know. I mean, sometimes the crew will change up, and they'll deliberately say map 4 because last week map 4 was good. This week map 4 means cruise. And they'll do that because they know the other team's listening.
Chase down first Puro, and then inside 22 minutes to go. The Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. As Bill mentioned, next week these American Le Mans Series teams haul the Road America out there in Wisconsin. Canada legendary sports car race, the Road America 500. It's a Sunday.
I have always wanted to see these cars on Road America. That is just such a beautiful
4-mile racetrack, and you know it'll be a packed house. Amanda Beer and Brats. Packed Johnny Herbert off the racetrack. Now, Stefan Johansson had gotten into the 38. I think Herbert had gotten back in the car. They just stopped on that last caution. It's like a spin from the 38.
Yeah, I think that's a spin, and that's the corner right at the end of the straight, so Johnny might have carried it in a little bit deep.
It is Herbert in the car.
Yeah, and it looks fine once again. ADT champion. No marks. I think just a spin probably under braking.
Remember that Herbert was very much in contention. There was contact. He got bunted off the racetrack. They had to put He's 10 laps down, but 14th overall. Blowing by the Porsche House Racing team, the 89 car. Hallelujah, right there.
There's Puro. Yes, and you can see the marks right there. That's exactly what Johnny did. He probably got a little too deep under braking. You saw it just locked them up and went off the outside of the turn.
Puro in the 1 is second. Here comes Magnussen in the Ritchie car. He is third. The gap stays about the same. Let's take a look on board. Puro's machine.
Okay, this is after the restart. Now look at Magnussen. Puro guessed right, Magnussen guessed wrong. That fast he got by. Puro looking over, he can't quite believe it.
Looked like he might have gotten touched.
He almost went in there a little too deep.
Yeah. Apparently, that is where Magnussen did clip the back end of Puro's car just enough to knock that. Wow. Magnussen's battling back. They were running alongside.
Yes, that's right.
It's time to show your hand of cards now with 20 minutes to go, so you know that both Magnussen and Puro are thinking, hey, if I'm going to get this thing, I've got to get going.
Yeah, definitely. No, both drivers doing the right thing.
The MG Lola, the 675 car, the John Field and Clint Field car. O'Reilly and Scott, Rob Dyson's team. James Weaver back in that car now. Corvettes. Yes. Running 6th and 7th overall. Weaver in the 16 car, 5th overall. And your lead car, the number 2, the Tom Christensen under the Honda Bridge here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. So the clock ticking down. Past 4:30 Eastern time, about 18 minutes to go. We'll be back.
Think these cars aren't athletes? They go from 0 to 100 and back to 0 in 9 seconds. They race hours on end with no timeouts. They reach 600 degrees but never break a sweat. Want to see an athlete? Want to see it again? The American Le Mans Series. See the Road America 500, July 4th through 7th at Road America. For tickets, call 1-800-365-RACE.
Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Turn number 1 into Manuel Puro in the red trimmed Audi. Slowly but surely chipping away at Tom Christensen's lead. 1.6 seconds, Bill Adam, with 16 minutes to go. He's got plenty of time here. Does Christensen have enough fuel is the other big question.
Well, I think that's exactly what's happened is that Christensen is in a situation now where he has to dial that car back. He has got to conserve it or else suffer carousel corner and just watch the left-hand graph. Watch how it accelerates when it gets up on the straight.
With the slower car, the first walk line.
151 miles an hour.
And that is a short straightaway. Calvin Fish-Piro is second. We see him diddling with the fuel mileage or the fuel knob there. What's the situation in the Audi? Is any team orders, any fuel strategy coming in?
As we understand it, there are absolutely no team orders, but they've been pouring over the laptops back here, and they're trying to see if Christensen can make it the rest of the way. I would suggest that Piro's making that thing full, Rich, as he chases him down, and Tom has been on the other mode, trying to lean off, trying to make it to the finish. They really rolled the dice there, made a mistake, admitted that, but then rolled the dice going for the win.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Here's a team that has won Le Mans 3 consecutive times, and we've seen them 2 years in a row make some glaring mistakes on the track.
It seems as though the endurance races are fine. The cars are, the drivers are talented. The strategy in these short races, these sprint races, leaves something to be desired.
It does.
675 cars. It's the arcade driving off the track while Brett Arsenault driving. Piro is second. The gap is 1.6 seconds last time by. He's trying to shorten it up. Inside 15 minutes to go at Mid-Ohio. Some of the pageantry, some of the scene here at Mid-Ohio this weekend as we got ready to do battle in the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. There's been plenty of action start to finish. A lot of cars have been off the racetrack, a lot of contact. Busy day on pit road for many of these teams. The question now, can Tom Christensen conserve enough fuel to get the 2-car home for the victory? His lead 5 seconds over his teammate whom I'm guessing was held up the track. The gap was only 1.6 seconds a short time ago.
Yeah, Tom is responding. He has suddenly picked up 3 seconds of lap on his pace, so he was in cruise mode. Now I guess he's thinking, well, let's go for it. Either that or else the crew have told him, we think you can do it, with a little more emphasis on the think.
Less than 11 minutes remaining in the race today. There'll be a lot of stories told about this Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. It has been a wild one, start to finish. In GT, Kevin Buckler's Racers Group squad of Sonoma, California. They're in command. Bill, this is a great story. Young BJ Zacharias, his first American Le Mans start. He's sharing the car with Buckler today. His first race here, they're in the lead.
Yeah, I think about the only thing they've done wrong this whole race is that maybe they didn't clean the windshield up, because that still looks terrible.
Buckler, of course, the 24-hour wins at Daytona and Le Mans this year. They may be on their way for another victory in the sprint race. The Alex Jones team is a stable of 4 factory Porsche drivers. They've had problems. They can't get the job done, it appears, today.
I think that's probably the first mistake that I've seen Lucas Luhr make in all of the years that we have done the Le Mans races.
Zacharias leading. York Burmeister has the other Joe car second. It's 5.5 seconds.
I'm very surprised that Kevin Buckler's with me, because he can't keep still. He's walking backwards and forwards. Every time BJ Zacharias comes by, he waves him on. Hey, what a great day.
We can't believe it, you know. We had a good car. We set a car up for the long term for the race. The car was great. We were in first place. BJ's in first place. We can't believe it. Tires are perfect. Everything's going great.
2002, what a year for you.
Hey, we're not done yet, Andrew. Hang on a second. They're gaining on us. Alex Jones about 6 seconds behind us. It's going to be a great race.
Get back to that screen.
What's that?
Get back to that screen.
Yeah, they're about 5.5 seconds behind us right now.
Very happy Kevin Buckler with the thumbs up. He's proud of Cincinnati. Here, it's been a great weekend so far for the team. Second, Alex Joe car with York Bergmeister, 4.5 seconds. He took a second out of the lead. Here he comes up the short straightaway. That's the McKenna Porsche right behind the Joe car.
He is picking up time, and I think he's got a lot better windshield to see through right now, too. Look at that, using up all the track. Yeah, he's really trying hard right now.
The Intersport Mark Newhouse and Joe Field sharing that car. Ninth overall, flashing by there. We're going to grab a quick timeout. 8 minutes to go. We'll come back and take you to the checkered flag without interruption on speed. Can the Audis hang on? We'll be back. Channel's coverage of the American Le Mans Series in Mid-Ohio, brought to you today by Audi. Technology, performance, and design. Our goal remains constant. Never follow. Look at the Audis in the lead, in control at the moment. Christensen in the 7 seconds ahead of his teammate Pirro. Car number 1 and Billy thought Christensen had the fuel leaned out as much as he could to try to conserve maybe the boost dial back. He's really picked up the pace tremendously in the last 7 laps.
He would have to start it back up to advance his pace this quickly, because all of a sudden that car is just very fast down the straights again.
Of course, all the American Le Mans Series information you need 24/7 live event tables at ALMS Series. AmericanLeMans.com. It's updated constantly. Track and field ALMS team. A lot of material, I'm sure, posted and written in the next couple of days. This one will say just about anything you can imagine. Right now, we didn't think the Audis were going to be able to pull this off, but at the moment, we've got to think the chances are excellent.
I don't understand why he seems to have gone such a huge distance.
Yeah.
Again, that first stint, he went well over an hour. This is really bordering ridiculous.
4 minutes, 50 seconds to go. You got to look at the gap. Here comes Pirro in the 1. We saw Christensen go by a few seconds ago. That's the gap between the two lead cars. 7.3 seconds is the difference. And now Magnussen hasn't yet complied the stripe. So Magnussen continues to lose time. That contact with Pirro a while back on the short straightaway headed toward the keyhole corner, which these cars were leaving. Now, apparently that fouled up the handling of the 50 car enough to put him off the pace.
Well, it's like a snowball effect. Usually what happens is after you use that winglet, you're going to encounter some push. The front tires will be sliding all over the place. There he is right there.
You see the damage on the left front corner.
The more the tires push, the more they're going to wear out. And of course, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And the lap times can't help but get worse all the time.
Magnussen, winner here a year ago with David Brabham in this car. Today, things have not gone the way expected. It looked like things were going to fall into place for him again here, not very long ago, but with that contact on the restart, it looked as though Magnussen just will come up a little bit short here this afternoon.
Yeah, I think Jan's going to have a chat with old Bruce on the team and say, look, build me some stronger wings. Olive Garden.
Olive Garden Ferrari. Manuel and Espetti, they've had their problems today, and he's going to dive to the end of pit road, apparently deciding we can't go any further. This is the 550 and some fire in the car, evidently.
I think it's probably just shutting the engine off. A little bit of fuel left in the pipe.
Calvin Fish, what's the problem with the Ferrari?
Well, I think as gearbox, he was coming by me down pit lane here, or down pit straightaway. He was searching for gears. The engine was running, but no drive, it looks like, on the 550.
Now, I saw a little flame out of the car. Might have been just when they shut the car off. And Mimo Scattarella, he bailed so quickly, I thought perhaps something else was wrong. Parking the car at the end of pit road. The Olive Garden team, they do a lot. And part of the drive against Hunger, they've got 11,000 so far since the campaign began. $1 million through the car. So very conscious of what goes in the coast to coast. Anytime the two continues to run out for 108 laps. So far, 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Another lap and a half, and that should about get him home here this afternoon.
Amazing. He still continues to run fairly close. He's like 117 right now. Pirro behind him is below 116. So Tom always seems to be driving according to how big the gap is between he and his car.
So the leader going by. Here's Pirro. 2 seconds. 2 laps to go. The white flag moving last time. 2 minutes left on the clock. There should be 2 laps left. They should see the white flag next time. Christensen leads overall, leads the 900s. Johnny O'Connell in the Corvette leads GTS. His teammate Tony Collins. Here's the car.
Yeah, the Corvettes they continue to destroy the competition in GTS this year.
Yeah.
Right now, they have a 20-lap lead over the third-place car in GTS. So,
well, with Scattarella parking the Ferrari and stop on pit road by the Celine, you knew this one was going to be in the hands of the Corvette. Of course, the 2 Vipers in action too tonight. They're just not up to the pace that these other cars and the Corvettes especially are able to maintain. So it's going to be another 1-2. Hands factory Goodwrench Corvette team. In the GT category, BJ Zacharias has Tim Buckler's car 11th overall. He's got a 3.6-second lead over York Bergmeister with 1 lap left. And there are your 2 leaders. Christensen with a very tight lead now over the 2 car, rather the 1 car. Christensen leading. Does he have enough fuel? Last trip around this 2.25-mile racetrack.
Boy, he'd be watching every single thing that's happening on that gauge on the dashboard. There are a number of things. One of the things that can happen is that if anything goes wrong with the engine, that is if the oil pressure goes low, if anything overheats, if the car happens to run out of fuel, that overrides everything else on the dash, and this big glaring number comes on. Tal would be looking like, please don't appear, I don't want to see you.
I think Christensen slowed down quite a bit. I think he's out of fuel.
Gas.
Christensen is out of fuel on the final lap, picks up a little splash. Back on the button. But Pirro is going to take the lead.
He will pass it.
Look at this. Last lap, Christensen back on the gas. The car is apparently stuttering.
Yeah, he's getting little spurts of fuel, and that's all. Every once in a while, the fuel pump. Look at him waving the car back and forth.
On the last lap, they are short by a whisker, and Pirro goes by.
I think he'll finish. He probably has enough momentum to coast onto the front straight, but who knows? Maybe even Magnussen can catch him.
Emanuele Pirro will take the lead in the final couple of turns and come to the stripe. And Pirro in car number 1 is your winner.
Yes.
Mid-Ohio. Emanuele Pirro in car number 1. The red-trimmed Audi off that great Le Mans win 2 weeks ago. Steals one here from his teammate Christensen.
Boy, oh boy.
And Christensen just makes it to get credit for second spot.
Oh, boy.
And it doesn't look as though that car will go any further to make a cool-down lap. Magnussen will get 3rd. Alberlin finishes 4th in the other Panos. And James Weaver comes home 5th in the Dyson Riley and Scott 16 car. Johnny O'Connell wins GTS and finishes 6th overall. When we come back at Mid-Ohio, we'll talk to the winners. Stay with us. Back at Mid-Ohio here on Speed Channel with Bill Adam, I'm Rick Benjamin. What a turn of events. Emanuele Pirro and Frank Biela come home the winners today, ahead of Christensen and Campello in the other Audi, because Christensen ran out of fuel on the final lap. Magnussen and Brabham come home 2nd, or rather 3rd. First of the 2 Panoses, Alberlin and Herta come home in 4th. Then the Riley and Scott, the Weaver, Leitzinger car in 5th. Let's talk to the winner, Calvin Fish.
Well, he jumps out talking to his teammate Frank, and coming fresh off the win at Le Mans. This is a big one here in the ALMS. What a last lap. I mean, what were the team telling you about Tom's fuel situation?
Nothing. As we said many times, you know, the race is open, of course. I knew what tires he was on. I knew that he didn't stop for fuel. That's why he was in the lead. Because normally we were faster, you know, the whole race, the car was really good. I only was slow in the second restart, and I lost 2 positions. And Tom gambled, so I knew he was in a gamble. Of course, I didn't know at all that he was on reserve, and the team didn't tell me, which I think was fair. And I saw slowing down in the last 2 laps, so I guessed that he was on reserve and he went to save fuel. And okay, this was a thrill end. But, I mean, they got an advantage by not stopping.
Great win today, Emanuele. We want to get it down to Andrew Merritt with Tom for his version of the race.
Tom, there but a pint of fuel.
Yeah, but that's racing. I mean, we came from the back. We had the faster car. We obviously the guys in the pits did a good chance and tried this strategy. And okay, I would say it always worked out. I mean.
Anyway, you cruised to 2nd. Congratulations.
No, I wasn't. The engine was dying. I was just cruising with the clutch down. The engine died before the last 2 corners. So yeah.
Thanks very much. Back to you guys.
Oh, what a stunning turn of events. But Audi comes home with their 2nd consecutive win after Le Mans and their first sprint race victory of the season. Bill Adam.
Remarkable. I mean, I can't imagine writing a script like this.
Well, let's get more from the GTS category. Back to Calvin Fish.
Well, once again, it's the number 3 Corvette. Johnny O'Connell brings it to the head of pit lane. He's trying to get around buckled here. This team is unbeaten literally this year. Winning at Le Mans, that was the big one. Won at Sebring, Won at Sears Point. Johnny, if you can, fast as you can. We're about to get off the air here, mate. How about today? It looked like pretty cruise mode.
Well, it was. You know, it was really bad luck for the 4 car because they were certainly even to us. I mean, Andy and Ron were touch and go there the whole time, and had we not pitted earlier than them, I don't know what happened to Andy. He lost a lot of time, but the yellow worked out great for us. So I mean, it's lucky number 3, man. This car's great. I'm looking forward to the day when I, don't have such a big lead and I can push a little bit harder. But I tell you what, it was hard work today, and Kelly and Andy did a great job, and Ron, as always, did a great job.
All right, mate. 3 for 3. Let's go down to Andrew.
Well, with me, BJ Zacharias. BJ, what a drive from you.
Oh, man, it's just glad to be back here at Mid-Ohio. This crew worked hard all week, chased the car a lot, and basically we just decided that we'd go for the race and, not really try and qualify the car or set up for qualifying.
I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to ask you to go straight to victory circle. Thanks very much.
BJ Zacharias, 28 years old, from Cincinnati, Ohio, local driver, running at his home track. He's won the SCCA runoffs here a couple of times. Bill, in his first ALMS start, helps Kevin Buckler's team to a GT victory. What a day. What a day here at Mid-Ohio. So the victors are Corvette and Audi. The GT winner is Porsche. The 675s, Kevin Bucknam's, or rather Jeff Bucknam's team, 13th overall. I'll show you the top 12. The Corvette in 7th spot. Scott Maxwell and Milka Duno come home in 8th spot. And the fans hearing plenty today from these drivers about what a great day it was. The Audi team, problems with the fuel and the calculation strategy, Bill Adam.
Well, and I think that's the one thing that just gives everybody else hope is that no, they are not a perfect team. Despite winning the Le Mans 24-hour 3 times, they are not the perfect team. They still make mistakes, and that gives hope for all of us.
Well, we've got coverage, of course, of the AMA Superbikes from Brainerd in Minnesota coming up next here on Speed. Wild afternoon here. We thank you for being with us. For Bill Adam, for Andrew Marriott, and Calvin Fish, I'm Rick Benjamin, congratulating Emanuele Pirro and Frank Bailey, your winners today here at Mid-Ohio. We'll talk to you next time here on Speed.